it's your
man.
first time here on the channel, make sure you subscribe. If you've been here watching and you hadn't subscribed, make sure you subscribe. Um, Share the video, like the video, comment, dislike the video, whatever, if you don't like it. But anyhow, we got a special guest on the show tonight. He's been on here once or twice. Yeah, he might have pissed a few little folks off, but one thing he does is tell the truth. Welcome to the show, brother. What's going on with
Hey, man, it's all good in the neighborhood.
you? What neighborhood might that be?
Shoot, whatever neighborhood you get in, where you fit in, bro.
No, that's right. They
You
always
know.
they always say it's all good in the hood. What do they really mean by that term? It's all good in the hood. Do they really mean like
Yeah,
since it's in the hood, it's okay?
I think it's just a catchy. It's a catchy phrase. It just rhymes. You know.
It gotta be
That's
something
what.
to it, man. I think they basically saying, well, if it's bad, it's all good because anything goes in the hood. I don't know,
Yeah,
maybe.
man. Yeah, yeah. The hood ain't all bad. Hood ain't all bad. I got a little cocoa here, so I'm doing my well, actually it's cocoa and coffee. Have you ever tasted cocoa and coffee together?
Cocoa and Oh yeah. I tried it once or twice.
It's
Yeah. Just
cool.
just messing around, man.
Mm-hmm.
So you just like the taste when you mix it, or what?
Yeah, I just like the taste. It's sweet, kind of keeps me away from the sweets and stuff like that. So, then tea too, I be liking tea.
Yeah. I tell you what I do like, and it's kind of weird, man. When I go to a restaurant, a lot of times, when they ask me what I want to drink, I tell them sweet tea and a Coke, and I had them bring
I
both of them out, and I just drank on both of them, man. I don't
yeah.
know.
Well, I try to stay away from that sugar though, man. That they say that sugar's addictive, bro.
Yeah, that's true. That's a whole nother show. But man, sometimes you want, like, I'm drinking majority of the time. Y'all see me when when I'm on the show, I'm always drinking water. So I drink my share of water, but then I end up drinking some soda. But you know how they go, man. But it's just
Yeah, they
hard.
say that dang on that soda be like liquid crack, bro. But we were talking today a little bit about there's a term, a Swedish term. I thought it was a German term, Stockholm Syndrome, and it came from the 1970s when there was a bank robbery, and I think that what we were talking about in reference to how Stockholm Syndrome affects African Americans. Now, in layman's terms, basically Stockholm Syndrome would be where these people were captured and they started identifying with the bank robbers, and they started having empathy and with their captors, and how that happens, and you see it a lot with children who may be raped often, and what will happen, they may be even abused, and there have been cases, actual cases, people have been taken away for their family for like 20 years, 15 years, and for whatever reason, even though they're free now, they may have been captured and sequestered when they were young. They're free now. They don't want to, a lot of these people don't go home or don't want to go home. They say, this is my family now. And even we've all heard the whole Malcolm X thing where he said our house, or we sick, that type of thing. Actually, he's talking about Stockholm Syndrome. There were many people who were enslaved who identified with being their captor than being themselves. You can even ask most people today, man, change your name. They'd be like, man, my name Mr. White. they will hold on to, and somebody said, well, change your name to, they'll be like, well, I don't know my family. But some people are actually offended. You ever seen anybody change their name and people will be like, man, I ain't calling them that. I ain't calling them. I'm calling what his mama called. You know, I remember, man, he beat, that was, I forgot he beat the brakes off of that dude. What's my name? What's my name? But not only him, there were other famous black folks that were kind of had that same mentality. Didn't even have enough of respect for him to call him his name. He was trying to, he may not have known his name, but it was an attempt for him to reach back to his people. And people couldn't even respect that, Rich. So in my mind, that's a form of Stockholm Syndrome. Now, what got me into this conversation, and I hope I don't get in any trouble, is I was talking to a brother today. I ain't gonna say his name. He can come on to the show. He can come on to the show. But he was, you know, we as black people, we'll say, he keeps saying, they think I'm Colombian. They think I'm Colombian. And I'll be looking at him and I'm like, bro, you look like my cousin, man. Get on out of here. Now, this is the thing. I'm gonna go back to that. We'll go back to that. But you got black people, even when I was in the military, you can be in Africa, Rich. You can be in Africa, and a dude will be black as leather. He'll be as black. He'll be as black as under your bed at night, and he'll go, hey man, I ain't African, man. I ain't black, man. I'm Arab. Now, a lot of people, a lot of black people say that in Africa. They, you know, and think about it now. The Arabs and many historians will tell you that the Arabs treated Africans worse than white people. But they identify with their captors. Let me say this, and I've said this on my channel. There was a, I ain't talking too much, am I?
No, go ahead, man. Hold on, let me give a shout out to Mr. G. He says, Zaba, man of reason and logic, one of the smartest brothers in the community. Absolutely. Absolutely. And he tells the truth, whether it hurts or not, man, you know. And like I say, man, a lot of times I'll call Zaba up and I talk to him, and he's kind of like a mentor, man, you know. And, you know, we talk and we got a bond and stuff like that. And, you know I can go to him. Cool, brother. He gonna he'll be like, Rich, man, look, you gotta stop, just like you said earlier, you gotta stop eating sugar, motherfucker. He tell me how it is. And that's what I like about it. I don't like a lot of yes men around me, you know. But you, real brother, appreciate that donation, brother.
I appreciate that, Rich. That's why it's easy for me to get a hater. You know what I'm saying? It's real easy for me to get a hater because a hater will jump right in. Because they, you know, but this is the thing. My man, I'm so happy you came on because, you know, I ain't gonna talk too much right now, but let me say this. In Africa, you always got these black people. I ain't Arab, I ain't black, just like African Americans. How many African Americans we know? We know this exists. They'll be like, man, I ain't black. Hey man, my mama Indian. My God, they'll have this much Indian in there now, but they'll tell you, man, I'm Indian. Nigga look like a gorilla and be talking about I'm Indian. Now,
don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't do that.
Let me say this.
Don't do that. Don't do that.
Hey, the man, you ain't even had a chance. I ain't even had nothing to disagree with you about yet. Come on, man.
I said, don't do that. Don't identify people as gorillas or any type of primate.
Oh man, I'm being facetious. I'm being jokeful. I'm being jokeful. It's a joke. It's a joke. That. Okay, I won't for you. I'll baby you today, and I'll do it for you. Okay, but everybody else took it as a joke to me. All right. You got what happened here in the Dominican Republic is it happened in the 1930s with Trujillo, and basically the Dominicans couldn't pronounce the word parsley. I mean, well, they were Dominican, but they couldn't pronounce the word parsley. And if they couldn't pronounce the word parsley correctly, now some people debate that this is how it happened. Some people even debate the numbers of people who died. But the numbers go, for sure go from anywhere from 4,000 to 50,000 people. But at any rate, the Toussaint Louverture, and I know I'm going on here. I'm driving the point back to Stockholm Syndrome. Toussaint Louverture freed Haiti, and other people freed Haiti. After they freed Haiti, they were looking at the French and was like, "Yo, they too close. They too close." So Haitians actually went in and freed the Dominican Republic. Now they occupied the Dominican Republic, I think, for about 20 years. Now the French treated the Dominicans with such disdain and hate. If you want to read, if you want to know how the French and how the French and the Spanish treated people on the island of Hispaniola, there's a book called The Black Jacobins. Boy, they would do so many things, put ants on people's head and put a bucket of honey on. Just what I'm trying to say is nobody treated the Dominicans worse than the Spanish. Now, even though the Haitians freed the Dominicans, when they celebrate their independence, they celebrate their independence from the Haitians, not the Spanish. To this day, even Trujillo himself, even though you would think they would give much acknowledgement to the Indians and to the people that freed them, he was doing his best to identify with white folk. Trujillo wouldn't let you take a picture of him, and they still got the cream and the cream that he would put on his face, because he had such a problem identifying. Even though his grandmother was Haitian, he still had such a problem with being considered black. Now, we all know a lot of Latin people have a problem with that, being black or considering themselves black. Now, they could be black as, I don't want to say the gorilla. They could be black as under your bed at night, all right? But they still have a problem with that. Now let me give you something to argue about, because I haven't given you anything to argue about, just that I was being facetious. Let me give you something to argue about, Domain. Because I really haven't given them nothing to argue about yet. But
I can only argue if I disagree.
Well, have you disagreed with anything I said?
Not yet.
Well, I'll give you your opportunity, my brother.
I like this guy.
All right. Now, Domain, I have to say this as a precursor. You are a sharp man. I don't say that. Let me joke a little bit, man. I ain't saying that I really like you. I mean, I'm enamored with the ability that you have. Now, I may sound gay, but I ain't gay. No. I'm just saying, I'm saying that really. I'm not being funny. For you to teach another language. I mean, it speaks volumes, to try to do a business, man, speaks volumes. I'm gonna give you that. You have to be intelligent to do that. However, you could be in I could be in Germany for 30 years. My accent will never go away speaking German. You can see people who've been Mexican, been in the United Snakes, United Snakes of America. Their accent will not go anywhere. It's impossible to get rid of an accent. It's not impossible. But I would tell you this: you can listen to my voice and you can be like, yeah, that brother's probably, he don't sound like one of them New York brothers. You just speaking English. I'm speaking English. And you be like, nah, he certainly don't sound like them brothers from Cali. You can hear my accent. So I think when we speak Spanish, when I hear people speak Spanish, and I hear Americans speak it, and I've seen your channel. When I hear you speak it, I hear the American accent in it. So I think accent we can't get away from. I think it's hard to get away from, especially if you don't got 40 years in a country or somewhere. You just don't hear. You certainly don't hear Spanish people. You certainly don't hear Mexican people. But then again, I mean, you're probably unique. You're probably that one person don't have an accent. Ain't no such thing as don't have an accent, though.
Hey, let me give a shout out to Big Marcus before we get appreciate that super chat, my brother. And Mr. G, appreciate your support, man. Thank you. Go ahead, brother Domain. But before you get into that, now people in Atlanta have a different accent from people in South Georgia. That's a fact. But go ahead.
For sure. For sure. You know, jokers from Alabama. I mean, I think we're just saying that you can be speaking English, and it's, you know, influence is this. Influence is when somebody says I can control influence, then it's not influence. Like, I can't help the way I talk. I mean, I can try to change it, but for the most part, I can't help the way I talk. It's just come up upon me in the way that I speak English. I mean, like the man, I never asked you where you from, but I know where places you ain't from because of your accent. And we speak in English.
Go ahead, brother Domain. Let her get it out. Let her get it off.
Well, let me. I'm gonna say three things real quick. Number one, you gotta give me something to argue about because you say you want to hear an argument, not yelling back and forth argument, but dispute. You gotta give me something to argue about. So far, you haven't said anything that I disagree with. Number two, when I'm around my people, intimate people, my accent will change up a little bit. You know what I'm saying? Like, for example, if I'm back home with my family, I'm gonna talk in my colloquial way as opposed to if I'm talking to other people. So, you know, like I said, you didn't give me anything to argue about. So I will say this. If someone works on, like you said, Mexicans or whoever they from, I know people who came from another country and came to the United States and they worked on their English to change their accent. Everywhere you go, no matter where you go, I have to agree with you. Depending on the area you're in, it's going to have the influence of the accent that you carry, even if you speak the same native language. Like we have different accents within the United States and we speak the same native language. They have different accents in the same countries that speak the same language.
Okay.
You ain't giving me nothing to argue, disagree with you about so far, bro.
I agree with you on that. You know, we all, you know, like if I'm in a professional setting or something, you know, I'm gonna speak a little different than I would. You know, I get that. Right. That's true, but I don't think that's accent. But let me say this. Let me give you something to argue about. You know the ongoing conversation we've had. Let me say this as a precursor. You know, you get these black people, and I think it's part of Stockholm Syndrome. Over here, in Colombia, even amongst other black people who look like them, and they'll start going, man, all I gotta do is change my shirt. I could do it. If I change my flip-flops, let me ask you this, Domain. If I start walking around in flip-flops, dirty feet, no, that's a bad example. I don't want to say that. Have you ever been to the Dominican Republic?
For me, yeah, I lived in Dominican Republic in 2009.
And would you agree that pretty much when you see a Haitian, you pretty much know they're Haitian? Would you kind of agree with that? I didn't say all, did I? No, I did not. I did not say all. I said pretty much. All. Yeah, I did not. Ain't no such thing as all. Ain't nothing absolute. But pretty much, when you see a Haitian, you pretty like, man, he probably Haitian.
It's a high probability, yes, because they have a specific, not all, but there's a high number of people from a certain area that's going to have a specific look or a particular look.
Yeah, the video. Mm-hmm. I'm sorry, Domain. Yeah, I get it. Okay, right. I get that. What I'm saying though, you know, it's like, you know, you get a lot of brothers that'll go, Man, I've heard it a lot. Man, they don't know who I am. It's like God gave brothers a memo. Like God gave say this to everybody you know. It's like, you know how women will be like, I got male friends. Like, be like, bitch, you sound dumb. You know, because all the other females say that, right? And then or God, you know, I got a thing on my site that said 10 of the stupidest things that women say to men. That's one of them. I got male friends. But if you talk to women, one of the stupidest things they say men say to women that women say to men is, "Oh, I'm different. Oh, I'm different." Just by you saying that, make not you, but make just by men saying that makes them similar. Is such a paradox. So because a lot of men say that, I would never say that to a man, to a woman, because they done heard it from every other man, or not every other man, but so there's a lot of I think because black people want to fit in so bad, even when they go to other countries, they'll try to say, I'm more like them. And say that to a man. And I fit in. Look here, go to court and see if you fit in. Now, don't get me wrong, because I'll be the first person to tell you, I'm treated real well over here for the most part. But I know there are limits, and I know I'm treated differently in many people's eyes over here. I will never ever be accepted fully Colombian. Never.
You're not in Colombia, you're in the Dominican Republic, right?
But even if I'm in Colombia, you know what I'm saying? I spent enough time there to know. And because they will still see, as a matter years, not years, but you know, years here, but you know, certainly months, just months, you know. But this is the thing. I know just as well as you know, them same dudes be talking about, man, I fit in. They don't know. First of all, we can't get rid of our accent, especially with another language. Second of all, we don't want to talk about all them people that come up to us and start speaking.
Hold on. You're contradicting yourself now.
How did I contradict myself?
You say you can't get rid of your accent, but earlier you said it's a possibility you can get rid of your accent.
Bruh, you will always carry that American accent to some degree. Now, I am saying,
not me. I'm saying what you said.
Well, no, this is what I'm saying. And when I think it's difficult to get rid of your accent. I think it's almost even in English. Now you could fake it. You say, "Hi, I'm Donald Trump." But make me mad. make me mad. Make me mad and see that southern dude come out of me. When I really get emotional, you can't fake your act. You can't get away from it. Now I could be mad like, now, Jermaine, I'm angry. No, it ain't gonna happen. It's just gonna flow. Now, when you flow, you ain't gonna get rid of it, Jermaine. Now you can fake it on some level, but when you flow, and most of the time when we're in the street or we're somewhere, especially speaking another, you can always. I'm sufficient enough in Spanish to hear. I hear Colombians speak, and when I hear Americans speak, it's different to me. I don't know if you can tell. I guarantee you can tell when you start hearing Americans speak. As a matter of fact, you be like, man, he messed that up. Oh, he messed that up. It's so easy for us to see the errors because we're used to people flowing. We just don't flow like they flow. Even if we spoke it for 10 years, for the most part, the flow ain't there. Like, you could try to act like, you know how them guys be on those actors, they'll fake an accent. And you be like, man, I didn't know he was British. And then you go back and look at the movie, you be like, yeah, he said that word kind of wrong. You know, so that's all I'm saying. I think
Hold on. Second, stop, pause. Look at what you're saying. You say if you go back and look at a movie is not live. A movie is not a passing conversation. A movie is not, you can play back and analyze it. A quick conversation, a 2-minute conversation in the streets, people are not going to be able to analyze what I'm saying.
Yeah, how many people come up to you and be like, "Hey man, where you from?" Go on, lie to me and tell me people don't do that. Just go ahead and lie. Go ahead and lie to me.
I don't answer loaded questions. That's a loaded question.
You telling me people don't come up to you and just start speaking English to you? That's what you're gonna try to tell us tonight?
Where is this? Where is this?
Anywhere in Latin America, you're telling me in Colombia, people
Yes,
don't
that's what I'm
come up
telling
to you
you.
and start speaking English.
Yes, that's what I'm telling you. First of all, they don't even speak English
I
like
tell,
that out here. This is Colombia. This is not Dominican Republic. That's a
but
whole different country, a whole different world.
that ain't the question though, Domain. The question
And you
is,
said, do
do
they come up to me speaking English? I said, no.
that's hard for me to. You might be telling the truth, but it's hard for me to accept.
That's okay. Like I said earlier,
Matter of fact,
you can't argue my experiences. Neither can I argue
well,
your experiences.
but Domain, when you do that, when you said that, when you say that, it sounds so elementary. Like I remember being in college, right? And guys would be like,
Oh, it
well,
is. It is
let me
elementary.
let me finish. Guys will be like, well, man, in my fraternity, and then you don't have no defense. You can't because they would resort to something real personal that's inarguable. Like you say,
That's
well,
all an
my
experience
fraternity.
is. That's all an
No,
experience is. It's
no,
personal.
no. It is personal. It is personal. But you know, when you go, if you're gonna say, well, man, in my experience, I ain't never seen a red light. How am I argue that?
What's
You
the
can't.
probability of that? That somebody
You
never
can
saw a red
always
light?
limits your conversation when you start talking about your personal, because anybody can be personal about anything. And that's why it's hard to buy. I think most people who are watching the show, Rich, let me ask you, Rich, and be honest. You think ain't nobody ever came up to this dude in Colombia and be like, and just started speaking English because they knew he was a foreigner? Just your opinion, Rich.
Hold on. How
Well,
did this become about how did this become about attacking me? Because I mean, now
It's
we
not
gonna
we gonna
attacking.
take on the
if we gonna
man.
start taking
It's
if we gonna take personal attacks, I could take personal attacks now. Let's not do that.
What did I say personal that was an attack, bro?
You attacking my reputation here. You saying that I'm telling
Oh,
you a falsehood.
Mo.
You saying
Man,
what
be that.
you're sitting here saying is
Be
what
that.
you're sitting
You
here
cannot
saying
be that
is
sensitive.
what you're sitting here
Sensitive.
saying is did anybody ever come up to me
Oh,
talking English? And I said no.
hey,
And so you say I don't
you
believe
went,
that. So you put me under
you went,
suspect.
hey, you went rocket ship with no rear
Oh,
view mirror,
absolutely.
bro.
Absolutely. If you're
Ain't,
gonna attack my
right,
character, don't I have the right to
man,
defend that?
ain't nobody attacking you, man. Ain't nobody worried. Ain't nobody attacking you, man. You're using too much strong word, man. Nobody care
Hey
about all that.
yo,
Ain't got
it
time
is
to
what it
attack
is.
nobody.
It is what it is.
I'm begging and pleading. Don't take it as I'm attacking you, man. Don't look at it like that, man.
It,
It's a
it
show.
is.
It's a
It
talk.
is, right?
It's a
It
talk
is.
show. Don't be talking about I'm attacking you.
Then you turn to Rich and you say, Rich, can you believe that Domain will actually sit here and say something like that? You believe that? That's
Now,
exactly what you did.
I'm gonna really piss you off. Then, if you take that as I'm attacking, you ain't gonna be able to tolerate this show. I'm gonna tell
If I
you
wasn't
right
able
now,
to tolerate
because
it, I wouldn't be here.
all I said was, well, I can only say what I think I believe. And then you be like, well, you're attacking my character. Let me talk like Donald Trump. Hey, you're attacking my character. Now I'm gonna laugh at your ass.
By all means, do what you're free to do.
And I'm attacking you. And I'm still not attacking you. Man, you acting like one of them thugs in the street, man. Ain't nobody attacking you, bro. You're too sensitive, man. You know what I'm saying?
By all
Ain't
means,
nobody
do what you do. Do what you need to do.
look at joke, nigga,
You
man.
ask me the
Now,
question. You ask me
man,
the
now,
question.
man.
I answer.
Well, I'll tell you what. Let's switch lanes a
Don't say.
little bit. So the main
No, before you switch lanes though, do you think nobody have ever asked this brother in Colombia and just started coming up to him talking English? What's your opinion? Well, you better not say because he gonna say you attacking him, Rich.
It's his opinion.
Right.
well, I'll say this, man. I feel like all the Americans gonna come up to you and speak English, and But I mean, you're gonna have some Colombians that can't speak English, and they gonna see you. And maybe if you don't have on the jerseys and stuff, yeah, they gonna think you're American, bro. They gonna speak. I mean, if they know English, they gonna come at you with English. I mean, and then you got some that may think you are Colombian.
Ah,
They will
shit.
come at you with Spanish. I mean,
Man,
if
but
you
no,
in
but get
Colombia,
back to but
majority
the
of them
main
gonna come at you with Spanish. You know what
but
I'm
the
saying?
main you can't be
Right.
like, man, my intentions is not to attack nobody. I like to argue, I like to fuss, but the last thing I'm gonna do with a brother, man, who I do
And you
respect you,
you
is
like to
but
talk a
let me
lot too.
finish, man. Let me finish, man. God damn, you telling
You
me I
like
talk a lot,
to
but
talk a lot.
you telling me I talk a lot, but shit, you cut me off now. You the one guilty of it. But look, all I'm
You
saying
like
is,
to
man,
talk a lot.
uh, God damn, man, I'm trying to make up to you like a bitch, and I'm calling myself a bitch because you're too sensitive. I'm trying to make up like a bitch up in here, and you still tripping. You know what I'm
You
saying?
ain't got
Damn,
to
I'm
do. You ain't
saying,
got to do that.
damn, look, I got to, because I don't want you, man. You too sensitive, man. I can't have you fucking being mad at me, fucking hit me in the head with something one day. You see me,
Listen,
man. I'm a lover,
I've
man. I'm
never
not a fighter.
you
But
what you
look, I ain't
do.
nobody trying
Your
to attack
opinion
you,
of
man.
me.
I swear to
Your
God.
opinion
I
of
swear to
me is none of my business.
Oh man, you sound like my sister now. Look, man, all I'm saying is, man, nobody
Can we
attacking you,
trade
bro.
lane? Hey,
Get
all
on with
right,
that, man.
okay. Let's switch lane. So, brother Domain, you said you wanted to come on the show, right?
Yes,
So
exactly.
obviously it was something you wanted to talk about. So you got the floor, and so Asaba, give there you go. Enough
There you
said.
go. There you go. So, Stockholm Syndrome, does it exist? Yes, it does exist. And unfortunately, it'll never go away. So, that's my opening. So, let's get into it.
All right. So you think Stockholm syndrome exists in America as well as Colombia, and give us some examples of Stockholm syndrome in America that's going on right now, in your opinion?
Well, one opinion about Stockholm Syndrome is when people always make the excuse as far as a reason not to go to other countries or visit other countries. The first thing they want to say is, well, it's racist over there. First of all, nobody ever said it wasn't racism or it wasn't racist in another country. But that doesn't mean that you should stay in the country that disrespects you and treats you wrong to see the world. So that's an example of Stockholm Syndrome.
So you
You
saying
stop.
America treats you wrong?
Well, I can't say America treats me wrong personally, but generally as a group, America treats the black man at the lowest level of society.
Okay. So you talked about earlier. You had an incident in Colombia. The police they pulled you over. If you want to talk about that, you want to talk about that. Do you
Yeah,
feel like
yeah.
my question to you is? Well, go ahead. Just tell them what happened, and then I'll interject with that. But go ahead.
Okay. So no, I was walking to the bus station and the police stopped me and asked me for my ID. And then I pulled out my ID and I showed him my ID and it was a foreign ID. And he said, "Oh, you're a foreigner." And I said, "Yeah." And then he's like, gave me back my ID and said, "Have a nice day." And I was thinking, well, was he racially profiling me? But then I looked over and there was like a group of other police and they had stopped some people who were white. So I said, no, I can't be racially profiling because there's white people being stopped and asked for the ID as well. So it's not just a racial profiling thing, but it's like a random thing. Every now and then, cops are going to stop and ask you for your ID.
All right. Well, see, I didn't hear that part of the story. Because the part you mentioned earlier, that they pulled you over, you didn't mention.
No, I was walking to the bus stop. And they stopped me.
Okay. All right. Because I was gonna say, well, do you feel like if that would have happened in America, how would you take it? Would you take it a little different? Uh, I
I
know
would
brothers
take it.
put over in America. The first thing is, man, they pulled me over because I'm black.
Well, I would take it a little different because that's not a normal thing for you to be walking down the street. in the States and the police stop you and ask you for your ID. That's not normally a normal thing that happens. Usually they're going to say something like, oh, well, you know, we have they always say, well, we had a report of a suspect. Like one time I was walking, I was walking down Georgia Avenue when I lived in DC, and I was on my way home, and I was walking down the street, and the police said, how you know, let me see ID. And I said, what's going on? And he said, oh, we had a report that there was a guy carrying a gun, and he was a black male with a black male with a bright colored shirt on. And I said, a black male with a bright colored shirt on, you're gonna be pulling over everybody in fucking DC. It's like, yo, how can not be profiling a black male with a bright colored shirt on? DC is majority black. And in this area where we in, DC, the majority of people are black men.
Right. Hey, shout out to Edward Jones. And let me see who donated just a while back. I think it was Kenneth Donald, man. Shout out to both of you guys. Edward Jones says, when I went to Cali, many people approached me speaking Spanish. And I had to tell them that I speak solo English and a little bit of Spanish. So, I mean, I can't take his situation and add it to yours, because y'all two different people. But anyhow, man, we're going to bounce off that topic, man, because both of y'all cool folks there. What's up? Hey, you need to stop attacking him, man. That ain't cool, man.
What I want him to do is to come to Cali, Colombia for about a month. And I guarantee you, he will see the black people here look like someone in his family. Looking at him now, I could guarantee you, if I start running up on random black people in Cali, Colombia, taking pictures of them, they're gonna look like him. Now, this is off of looks alone. I never said anything about accent or speaking. I said look alone. There's no phenotype.
There's no way. I would say this. I would say this.
Black American.
I would say that certainly, if I saw you, and I have been to Colombia, if I saw you, I'd instantly know. Be like, he probably in America. Let me go on. You gonna let me finish?
Not you.
Damn. Yeah, I would actually go up to you and be like, because when we're overseas, we pretty much can kind of tell. You know, I think most of the time, even in Colombia, even in Barranquilla, even, you know, we can kind of tell. And that's all I'm saying. You know, I think that you might be a little sensitive because you're not Colombian. And you probably be like, I act like them, I walk like them, I dress like them, I put my shoes on like them.
Stop right there.
But man, I didn't stop you. I didn't stop you. I didn't stop you. I didn't stop you. No. I didn't stop you. I ain't stop you, bro. Come on, man. I ain't stop you. How you gonna stop me and I ain't stop you? Well, go ahead, bro. But I ain't stop you.
When did I ever tell you in my life that I think I'm Colombian?
I at least respect you enough to listen to you.
All right, go ahead.
But you know what? I'm gonna let you have it. You go ahead, man. You do it.
When did I ever tell you in my life? When did I ever tell you in my life? When has anybody got any witnesses or anything that I said I think I'm Colombian? Now you get into a whole different ball game. Now I just said people look like you out here. That's all I'm saying.
I mean, I agree, man. In Colombia, it is Afro-Colombians that look exactly like us. They get haircuts, fades, they wear Adidas shirts. They do. I mean, I've seen some in person, and I kind of thought they was American, but I was like, nah, you know, he looked too local. You can tell when a person look local, you know what I'm saying? They got local outfits on and shit, you know? So that's one way of telling.
Man, but look, man, you can't like control the conversation, man. You gotta let another brother speak, man. I'll let you speak. I ain't cut you off. I'm actually scared to talk because you're gonna say I'm attacking you. I'm like, where the hell did you get that from? You know, bruh, The only thing I'm saying is,
You want to
and
tell
I'm
you on the show,
the only thing I'm gonna say, only thing I'm saying is only
Yes,
only
yes,
thing I'm
yes,
saying is
yes,
only thing
You
I'm
want him
saying
on
is
the show?
only
yes,
only thing I'm saying
He
is,
gonna attack you
you
for
know,
real.
no,
yes,
no,
yes.
I ain't gonna attack him
I'm
because
talking about
I don't.
Nathaniel. He said he want
No,
to
no,
Nathaniel on the show.
no,
Yes,
I ain't.
bring
Yeah,
him
let him on.
on.
But the thing about it is, this the thing though, Domain. The way I feel about it, bro, is, and I don't know what's in your mind, what's in your spirit, but I'm just telling you, there are a lot of black people, man, that come to these countries and they think they can fit in and they think they can be those people, and then they start saying, man, I talk like them, I walk like them. That happens, Domain, whether you want to admit it or not. And when sometimes, when you're talking, it sounds like that's what you're doing, bro.
Bring him on. Bring him on. Please bring him on.
Bring him on.
Hey man,
Bring that
he
clown
gonna
on. Bring that
You
clown
know,
on.
he
you
may
know.
attack you for real. You know
Bring
what
that
I'm
clown
saying?
on. Bring him on.
But I gotta go back to this. How could I be and you be having a conversation and then you be like, oh man, you attacked me personally? How the hell you gotta tell me that? Where did you come up with that? Because you can go through the transcript. I never did anything like that. I never attacked you personally. So if that's your way of arguing when you're losing, you go, oh, you're attacking me personally. If that's the way you're gonna argue, it's no way to have an argument with you.
So okay, so you trying to say arguing when you're losing? What am I losing? What are we talking about
You
here?
said I attacked. You said, oh, you attacking me personally. What you said, some old bitch shit. Oh, well,
You did it.
I'm offended. I'm offended by what you said. That's an attack. You said some bitch shit. That's an attack.
Now I didn't say I was offended. Let's get it clear. I said you attacking me. That's why I said you
I
attacking my
wasn't attacking
reputation.
you because I wasn't. I don't know your reputation. Only thing I said is I don't
Let's
believe
get that
people.
clear.
How
I
it
get
started
attacked all the
was
time.
how it started was I said I don't believe
Oh,
that people I don't believe that nobody has come up to you and started speaking English. That does not attack you. That just says I don't fucking believe you, bruh.
You
that's
That's
Big
not an
that's the
Boss.
attack.
validity.
Big
That's the
Boss got
That's not
validity.
an
something to
attack.
say.
That's the
That's
validity.
not an but that's not an attack. I don't have to
If
fucking
somebody
believe
say
you.
something, okay,
I
fine.
don't have to believe you.
If somebody say something that happened or didn't happen in their experience, that's all it is. You going into a whole
Oh,
spew about, oh
big,
well,
big,
in
big
my
boss, big
fraternity,
boss,
oh in my
just
Big
sorority.
Boss, Big Boss got
big
something
boss,
to say.
this
So
boss, big,
back
no, don't
you
let
up, the
he,
man.
no, big boss want to get on because I bust his ass last week and he want to get on. But
Woo!
that's all big boss want to do.
Listen,
Big Boss
Big boss
don't
ain't
back
got nothing
down.
to say.
He
Big
don't
boss ain't
back
got nothing to
down.
say.
listen,
He
Yeah,
don't back
listen,
down. I'll say
but
that.
listen. Are you gonna bring S Nathaniel on here?
bring Nathaniel up in here.
Are you gonna bring S Nathaniel on here?
Yeah, bring him
Come
on
on,
Nathaniel,
here.
he said he
show
got a
his
movie
clown
to
ass
go
up.
to, man.
Oh,
He got a
his
movie to
clown
go.
ass got a movie. Yeah, he don't want this smoke. He don't
He
want this
don't want
smoke.
that smoke, the man. That's all that is.
The
He
man,
don't
He don't
want
want this
that
smoke.
smoke.
look. I feel like the man want to be Colombian so bad. That's why he got a
Ooh,
problem with what I'm saying.
ooh,
He think he Colombian. Oh, bro, you a
ooh,
brother just like me.
ooh, ooh, ooh. Now he's trying to go at it. So you've been talking for
Yeah.
like most of the time,
All
and
right,
when
I'm gonna
somebody
shut
say
up.
something, you're gonna
I'm gonna
try to
shut
turn
up.
around.
Watch I shut up for 5 minutes. You got it.
So what's your point?
I knew you ain't had nothing to say.
Oh, the man, oh, oh,
Are you gonna bring him on the show?
we got a guest coming in. Yeah, I think he coming in. He coming in with the smoke. Hey,
But let me say this before he comes in. I mean, black people do this all the time. Try not to be a part of the tribe or the group that they
oh,
belong.
Yo, yo,
And we
yo.
we see it. We see it amongst foreigners.
Big boss
We
in the
see it amongst
motherfucking house.
you got people here in America, and the first thing they gonna try to tell you, some of these Uncle Tom people, oh man, I ain't black, man. My family Haitian. Oh, I ain't black, my family's Dominican. Oh, I ain't black. You get that going all over on around the world. That happens. I don't want no smoke with you, big boss. What's up?
Oakland, California. Uh-oh, we got another guest coming in. Big Boss, you got the floor, man. What up, man? Can you hear me? I think his connection bad. Uh-oh. Oh, you got another guy coming at you, Zaba. Fly boy,
What'd he say?
yo.
I didn't hear. What did he say?
You already know what it is. It's your boy FRE.
I can't see you. I can't see you.
That's
Yeah, bring look here, bring Flyboy in here, because I'm gonna tell you right now. The main two motherfucking sensitive.
Oh,
Get the fuck out of here. I need a man up in here to talk to. Now I attack you,
You
man.
know what you need?
I need a Flyboy. Man, you too goddamn sensitive, man. You acting like a little goddamn punk.
You know what you
Man,
need to
go
do?
ahead, Flyboy. Go ahead, Flyboy. Now say something now, Flyboy. Flyboy, please say something that I can argue with you on.
Can you guys hear me? Can you guys hear me? Yeah.
See, Poppy.
Yeah, I'm gonna chat for y'all for 10 minutes, and I gotta get some food, and I'm gonna come back and chat again. But let me tell y'all this real quick. I'm gonna get back in my basement so y'all can my attitude, y'all can hear me. Here's the thing I had an issue with. Like a lot of stuff I actually agree with. I was trying to find an argument, but I was agreeing with a lot of stuff at first. But the thing I didn't agree with is what kind of female trait is it to tell another man what he can and what he can't identify with? That's a female trait. I don't want to say the other word, but that's a female trait to say what another man can't identify with. So when y'all was like, oh, when Jabba was like, oh, he's darker than an ape and he's obviously black. Well, no, he might not identify as black. I mean, if I want to go on my mother's side, I would say I'm Native American, because if I showed you my grandmother and my family past my grandmother, everybody is Native American. Look, if I want to go on my father's side, maybe everybody's from down south, maybe they're from Africa.
I get you. But let me. Can I respond to that? I'll respond to that very intelligently.
That's the bitch move.
And I promise you, I won't attack you. All right. You know what the problem with it is this, and this happened throughout history. You know, when the Germans were killing the Jewish people, one of the main things they did to survive is they started identifying as being German. And so as a result, they felt more secure. You know, you got Native Americans, man. You got people who come here to this country, and one of the first things they'll do is they'll try to fit in with the dominant group. But what happens many times, if you want to find a group that doesn't identify with like, you want to find a black person that doesn't identify with black people, those are our main Uncle Toms. Those are the people that hurt us the most. When you know, and I'm not saying, because two things you're talking about. You're talking about race and ethnicity, and race is just, you know, like and there's really no intelligent scientific term for race. You just can't break it down scientifically. However, your ethnic group is what you may identify with. The problem is not saying, okay, well, down the line I may have an Indian. The problem is when you deny your blackness. That's the problem. Things like O.J. Simpson. What did he say? I am not black. I'm O.J. Simpson. Look at Kanye West. Look at Michael Jackson and the damage he has done to us. So what I'm saying to you, Flyboy, is this. The answer to your question is this. The problem is when people are defensive to being black. That's the issue. Not that you can identify with who you want to identify with. The problem is when you deny your whole group totally. That's the problem.
Here's the hypocrisy in that, what you just said. You said it's okay for you say, oh, hold up. Oh, my fault. Here's the hypocrisy in that. I had to turn the other one down. The hypocrisy in that is this. You say it's okay for Muhammad Ali to change the name to Cassius Clay, right? You say that's okay. It's okay. But if a black man doesn't want to identify as African because maybe he doesn't relate to Africans, you say, oh no, you can't do that, because if we go way back, you know, the black man and the African man and the Jews over here. No, you can't. That's hypocritical. You can't do both sides of that.
I don't understand. I don't understand. You're telling me. Let me ask you this. Let me put this in. Let me just ask you. Are you telling me? Let me make sure I understand what you're saying. Are you telling me, just for instance, are you telling me when I see a little Japanese man, he go like, nah, I ain't Japanese, man, I'm white. You're telling me there's nothing wrong with that?
There's nothing wrong with it. If he wants to identify as white, I don't know his background.
But that's not what he said. That's not what he said, though.
That's what I said, though.
What I'm saying,
that's how I understand it.
No, what I'm saying here is this. You said it's okay for Cassius Clay, for Muhammad Ali to say, you know what? I don't want to be Cassius Clay. No, I mean Muhammad Ali no more. Call me Cassius Clay. That's okay, right? That's
yeah,
okay,
I think
right?
That's okay. Yeah.
Right. But it's not okay for a black man who's never been to Africa, not to identify with Africa.
No, I'm not saying he has to. I'm not saying he has to identify with Africa. No. You got it wrong. I'm not saying that. I'm not saying that. I'm saying when you reject your people, when you reject who you are, when you let me finish so you can comment on it correctly. Let me comment it so you can comment on it correctly. Let me make it so you can comment on it correctly. You have to let me state my case so you can comment. I'm gonna let you talk. But what I'm saying to you is, I'm not saying a person shouldn't be able to identify with whatever they want to identify with. The problem is when you reject, you know, if like I said, if you are from Tanzania and you reject your Tanzanian people, that's a problem. If you are clearly a Japanese person and you reject the Japanese, that's a problem. That's what I'm talking about. Now, if you comment on that,
okay. Why?
That's what I'm talking about. That's all I'm talking about.
Why is that a problem that somebody that's born in a country does not want to identify with the people from that country?
Well, if you don't see the dynamic, if you can't see the dynamics in that, man.
Now, hold on, everybody stop.
You're going on a whole different field.
Everybody stop.
Don't help him out. Don't jump on his back.
Everybody stop a minute. You heard what he just said, right? Now you said the United what of America?
Snakes.
Right, the United States of America. But you was born in America, right? But you don't identify as American, right?
That's not true.
No. I'm asking you.
Dude. No, you asking me now. You asking me. You gonna let me answer? You gonna ask me the question and answer for me?
Because what do you say? Because I'm putting a hole in it this big.
No, you're not. You asked me and you ain't let me smoke. So how can you ask me?
The Japanese guy doesn't want to say he's Japanese. There's something wrong with that. But you're from America. But you don't want to identify as American. You're
wrong. I didn't say that. So you're wrong. Where's your hole? You're wrong. I didn't say that.
You just said
Where's your hole? Where's your hole? I didn't say that.
You said there's something wrong with the Japanese guy from Japan that doesn't want to identify with being Japan. There's something wrong with that. That's exactly.
No, I didn't say that either. Let me repeat it so you can get it right. What I said is, first of all, let me say it, bro. God damn. What I'm saying to you is that this. First of all, I've been in America my whole life. So ethnically, I'm American. I can't. If I say that, I'm a fool. I'm just a fool. If you say, and so it's just stupid to try to say no. I'm not ethnically American. Clearly, I am.
But you say that all the time.
Let me finish. So clearly, I can't say that, and I didn't say it tonight. Now, let me say this also. Well, no, I did not say that I'm not American. I didn't say that. That's the stupidest fucking shit in the world to say. I didn't say that. So, and then what I'm saying to you, well, I didn't say it, bro. I didn't say it. Anybody can quote me saying it. Pull up a video where I said it, and I'm going to owe you $25. How about that? Pull it up, Domain. You're talking shit. Pull it up. If you can't pull it up, you're talking shit. If you can't pull it up, you're just talking shit. Now, the second part, you got it. Well, then pull it up. If you can't pull it up, you're talking shit. And you're lying. You're lying. You don't know what you're talking about. I never said that. I never said it. Pull it up. Where do you live right now? Pull it up. All I'm asking you is for the receipt. All I'm asking you for, you're lying. Now, let me say this. Look, man. So this is the thing. This is the second part of the question. Look, this is a very simple solution. If I have said it, pull it up. If you can't, you lying. Now, this is the thing. with the second part. The second part I said is it's a problem when the Japanese man rejects. Shit.
Like the United States of America, is that a part of rejecting? When you say United States of America, is that rejecting America? Because it does sound like it's rejecting America.
Sounds like a lot of rejection to me.
It does sound like rejecting America, right? When I say the United States of America, that sounds like I'm rejecting America. Now, what you saying, Sabjaba?
He froze up.
Oh man, no.
Come on, come back in.
Hold on, he's back at it with the peasant internet, man. Come on, bro. So what you watch Walmart Wi-Fi? Yo, but nah, the man, you was hitting it right on the nose, the man, when he was saying it, man, because you can't say the United States of America and then knock another man in another country for doing the same exact thing. That's like,
wait a minute. At least answer the question. Hold up, man. I'm gonna say this and I'll be quiet. I swear to God, I'll be quiet.
Let me check this out. Let me say this. Every time I came on this show or any broadcast, I did not say anything about the United States of America. My simple thing was this. This is my only point. And I don't know how I got involved into Stockholm Syndrome. My only point is there is no phenotype from a Black Colombian to a Black African American that you can look at him and say, oh yeah, he's specifically Colombian, he's specifically African American. That's all I'm saying. I'm saying I'm living in Colombia in the part where most of the Black people are, and I see them every day. He's saying he's in Dominican Republic, comparing Haitians to Dominicans. I said that's a whole different country. That's a whole different thing. That's all I'm saying. Now I don't know how that got involved into Stockholm Syndrome, or I denied that I was from the States or I want to be Colombian. I don't know, but that's all I said. Now he's the one sitting there, United States of America, so he's denying America.
Big boss, you got something to add to it?
I did at first, but the shit kind of went left. But the only thing, I'm late, but the only thing I would say from earlier is that the Shaba was on the attack and then turn around and act like he the victim. The Shaba was dominating the conversation, but then turn around in the same breath and say, "Are you going to let me talk?" So Shaba was talking out both sides of his ass. But I know the conversation has moved on since that. So
I'm gonna tell you.
I never got the chance to say. So I'm gonna say this very clearly, and I'm gonna show you how much of a liar that Domain is. If anybody can pull up a tape.
Hey.
Let me finish my statement. God damn, man. Shit. I'm not cussing nobody out. Calm your ass down. All I'm saying is, I'm gonna show you how much of a liar he is, or if he's not lying, then he doesn't have the what they call it now, the receipts. Now I asked him, I begged him. I said, show where I said I wasn't American. Let me, I talk all the time. You can just go through tapes and say where I'm not American. Now, just because I criticize America, that's a whole different story. I mean, that does not make me non-American. I'm just being critical. Now, the second part is, like I keep saying to you, and you're twisting it, is when a person rejects, when this Japanese man rejects being Japanese, makes him almost crazy. That's what my case was. I rest. I'm waiting on the tape. I'm waiting on the receipts.
On that one, I guess I have to reluctantly agree with Ashaba. I agree with that when people deny reality. That's the whole thing we talk about, these damn Dominicans. These Dominicans don't believe they Black. Anybody from any country, if for whatever, I don't know if you want to call it self-hate, because maybe they was discriminated against, maybe they were conceived as a second class citizen, but to the point where they don't even want to identify what they really are. That's a mental delusion. If given the example that Shaba used, the man born in Japan, if he don't identify Japanese, he has a mental delusion. Someone born in China,
Exactly.
they're born in China. They're born in China, but they don't identify as Chinese. They have a mental delusion. So the Dominicans, at least they realize they're born in Dominican Republic, but they don't realize, as black as they are, they don't realize that they're black. In their mind, they think they're white or they think they're Hispanic. They think they're anything other than black. That's a mental delusion.
And
so
let me piggyback off what you're saying. There's the biggest study ever done, and y'all can go look at. There's been a couple of studies been done on Dominican people, for any of the Dominicans that might be listening. And this was the biggest study ever done. They had actually DNA tested thousands and thousands and thousands of Dominicans, and they basically came to the conclusion Dominicans are like have a huge black percentage in them for the most part. But I don't understand the argument. I don't understand the argument if a person, how can, that's why I know I didn't say no dumb shit like that. Like, well, no, I'm not American.
Dumb shit earlier.
Well, no. What I'm saying, I wouldn't say that I'm not American. That's
you
crazy.
Said dumb shit earlier. You said
no.
Dumb shit earlier.
We talking about. I said I wasn't American. Stick with the motherfucking shit. You don't know what you're talking about. Stick with it. Show me where I said I wasn't American. You can't show me that. So you gonna talk about some other shit.
Show me
you
where
gonna talk about some. I ain't saying what you saying. I'm only defending myself. You said I said I wasn't American.
Exactly.
Which I
show me why I said I
me.
wasn't American. Show me.
I ain't talking about what the. I don't
show
disagree
me why
with
I said
what
I
you
was
said.
Colombian.
I don't disagree with what you said. I don't disagree with what you said. I'm only talking about ain't nobody like the man said I said I wasn't American.
You did disagree
foolish.
with what I said.
That's foolish. You're just talking.
You did disagree with what I said.
You ain't even talking about nothing.
You asked me. Hold on. You asked me if somebody came up to me and asked me or started speaking English because they thought I was American. I said, here in Cali, Colombia, no. And you said, oh, I disagree. Then you went to Richie Rich.
I said, I don't believe you, bro. I don't believe you. I don't believe you.
Don't believe, disagree. It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
No, it's not.
You deny you're American, bro.
No, it's not. No, it's not. Disagreeing, saying I don't believe you, saying I don't believe you, it's
a disagreement.
Yeah, well, I don't believe you.
And then you're trying to play the role of the victim. You're trying to switch it around. So you suffering from Stockholm Syndrome.
You the one was playing the victim. You came in this motherfucker acting like a little bitch. The day you the one came in here like a little bitch, like a little flaming faggot.
Listen, bro. I know how you.
You came here like a flaming faggot.
I know how you old people like to talk and over talk. I've been raised to respect my elders. I've been raised to respect my elders. Don't let me lose my respect for you.
Anyway,
I wanted to say something. Let me let him get it in real quick, brothers. Well, he froze up, man. That's that super internet.
He got pet internet.
Right.
I don't know why it's so difficult. Like if you said, I don't know why it's so difficult when I asked Flyboy, when you come back on Flyboy, when I said kind of like what Big Boss was saying, damn, I wish he was still on. He's off. I don't see how that's twisted. Now, Domain, you would agree that me being critical of America is different than saying I'm not American. You would agree with that, right?
I mean, I would agree with a whole lot of things you say.
But I ain't talking about a whole lot of things. I'm talking about what I just said.
Right. And we got that on tape, right.
Right. And then you do agree that you cannot find in the universe where I said I wasn't American, because you standing on that. You agree you're not going to. Well, you don't.
Hold on. Answer the question.
I'm just asking.
Ask the question.
All right. The question is, will you be able to produce to anybody where I have said I wasn't American? That just sounds so ridiculous to me that I would say that. Like, to me, that doesn't make sense. You know, like that. Hold up, Domain.
Hold up,
Domain. Hold up. Let me finish. What I'm trying to say is just like, before you answer, let me say one more thing, and I swear I'm gonna let you talk. So you didn't answer it. No, you didn't answer. You're not going to say, Zaba, I can't produce it. Or I can. You're going to ask me another question. But let me say this. I know I didn't say anything like that, because it's almost like you asked me, say, Zaba, are you a male or a female? And I know I wouldn't say I'm a female. So that's why I'm positive I didn't say that.
Sure about that?
So, well, again, you're not going to produce the receipts. And I think I should be given room to say, if you can't produce the receipts, I think everybody listening should say, I don't think you might have been lying, because to lie, you have to have intent. But I could certainly say, you're wrong. I didn't say that. And if you don't produce it, everybody will see you from now on out saying shit that you can't produce. Now let me answer your question.
So now my question to you is, produce the receipts where I ever said that I was Colombian or I said I wasn't American.
Nope. You see how easy that is for me? I know you. I don't think you ever said that. You see how easy it is for me? Because I'm not.
But you accuse me of it, though.
Yeah, I think you're trying. I think you're trying. I think you're trying because that's what. Because that's what.
How can you try not to be where you were born from?
You're asking me. You're asking me my thoughts.
You're making no sense, bro. You're old head.
Okay, but that's my thoughts.
At this age, you should be wiser than that. Come on now.
Well, I mean,
Zaba, do you think the man want to be a Colombian? Let's get this
hell
off.
Hell to the yeah, that's what I believe. I could be wrong, but that's what I believe. He told me, hey, the main, hey, look here. You ask it. He told me, you know how people be Uncle Tommen? He Uncle Tommen to try to be this is my opinion, and I could be wrong.
To be Dominican.
No, I ain't. I know I'm American.
Bro, you were just speaking.
I ain't walking around.
We heard you on tape speaking Spanish.
I do. I mean, that's okay. It's all right. But I know I'm American.
Speaking Spanish.
All right, I'm gonna mute y'all, brother. But for the record, the man, I do not think you are trying to be Colombian. That's my opinion in this. So I'm just letting you know my opinion. Continue on.
No, I mean, I don't really.
My point is this.
If I was being totally serious,
if you want to have a conversation about something sensible and logical, I'll do that. But the minute you start talking nonsense and ridiculous shit, I'm gonna do the same thing to you.
What? You won't even let me have my opinion,
bro. You've been speaking all night. You've been dominating the conversation all night. You've been running your mouth all night.
True.
And I tried not to interrupt you to show respect to my elders, but I'm.
Oh, you do it. You interrupt.
I'm interrupting you
interrupt. You interrupt. But no, I don't. If I had to be serious, I don't think a person is trying to be. But I do think it's kind of Thomas, in a way, because he be on that. Oh, I talk like them. I walk like them. I wear my. And I have heard you say that. You have said you can go. You have said, once I put on my clothes, they don't be knowing I'm black. Once I started dressing like them, tell me you ain't never said that. I started dressing like Colombians.
Hold on. Let's get it right.
You ain't never said.
Let's get it right.
Let me say this. Let me say this before you attack me. Let me say this before you attack me. I may not get your exact words correctly. Let me say this before you attack me, and then I'm gonna shut up. I may not get your words exactly, but it's something to that effect. You were talking about changing the style of your clothes and things like that. And I'm like, man, this dude Tommy. And I'm thinking in my mind, this dude Tommy. I said I don't have your words correct.
Let's get it right. We had an earlier conversation, an earlier show before. And somebody asked me when I walk in the store, do people follow you around? And I said no. And they said, do you think that they follow you around because you're American? Or do you think that they just don't follow you around at all? I said, I don't think they follow me around at all. I said, most of the reasons you could tell a difference between a black American and a black Colombian is because of the clothes they wear.
Hey, look how many people pressed one today. Look how many people pressed one. Look how many other people believe you trying to act Colombian.
Listen, bro, everybody can press one in this whole chat room, or not the chat room, I mean in the conversation. Because right now this is about jokes. This ain't nothing serious, bro. This ain't nothing serious. This is all entertainment. This is nigga-tainment.
No, but I could be wrong. That's just my opinion.
This is entertainment. That's all. This is entertainment.
Dressing like a local to blend in. Maybe that'll be a better thing for you. I mean, Big Boss, in your opinion, if you in Colombia, you living there, is it better to blend in and dress like the locals or no?
Absolutely. I think wherever you want to live, you should blend in a lot. I mean, why go to another country and then overly show that you're American? One, I don't even think that's safe to do so.
Yeah.
But
yeah, I agree. But I think what I'm saying is an attempt to man, we going over the same thing, but man, we just disagree. That's all. But that's what I'm saying. I think that, man, I wish my man would have came back, because for a black person to say I'm not black, that's sickness. That's a sickness. That is a
Well, I
fucking
agree.
sickness.
With that.
Motherfuckers be like, I can identify and be anything I want. Shut your
Right.
damn Uncle Tom ass up. And I'm talking to what's his name, not the man. Shut your Uncle Tom ass up. Talking about I ain't black. Man, come on, man. Yeah, any black man walking around any black man in America walking around talking about he ain't black. Forget that dude, man. That's a talk.
That's not in his defense. That's not what he was pointing at. That's not what he was getting at.
Okay.
Well, he's saying he was saying but we had this conversation before. He was saying he feels like African people don't really fuck with us. The people that's in Africa now and the Africans that's over, he feel like they don't fuck with us. So why should he glorify being from Africa when they don't really deal with us? And he felt like they sold us to America, so me and him had this conversation. He's not here to defend his side of the conversation, but I'm just telling you where he was coming from with it. And he felt like if he's part Spanish or whatever he's mixed with, and he can identify with them a little better.
See, he the main one. Look as black as a gorilla. And he talking about I'm Indian, I'm this, I'm that. I hate them kind of dudes, man. I hate them kind of dudes. He the main one do that. And he always saying something. I'm gonna put him on blast. I'm gonna put him on. What is his name, Rich? What is his name?
Flyboy.
I'm gonna put him on.
Here, so
I'm gonna still put him on blast. I'm gonna still put him on blast. He be saying so much Uncle Tom stuff. It's a shame. I guarantee, man. He probably want. Look, I ain't gonna eat into it too much. That's another debate. That's another debate.
I think this is a troll right here.
Right.
Dominicans are not black.
Yes, they are. You can look at them and see they black.
I mean, they're part black. They definitely part black. I mean,
yeah.
They part Spanish too. Oh, half Spain, half black, half.
Hey, the man, I ain't forgot about your ass sitting over there. I ain't forgot about your ass sitting over there. You done accused me of saying I wasn't American. You done accused me of saying, see, you trying to drown me out because you know you ain't got no receipts. Where your goddamn receipts? You done accused me. Where your fucking receipt? You ain't got no goddamn receipts. You just talking shit. You talking shit. I said this, and I said produce where I said it. You ain't said you ain't produced shit. You ain't produced shit. You just talk. You just talk. And everybody know now. You just talk just to get a point across.
Here you go again. So you produced that.
Yeah.
You're rich. Like I was telling somebody this weekend. The same. That in up to prior to 1973. In the DSM, homosexuality and lesbianism was listed as a mental disorder. Why? Because there's only two sexes, male and female, penis or vagina, period. There's only two sexes. You come out a boy or a girl. That's a scientific fact. And the DSM said that for any man or woman who thinks in their mind that they're a different sex and what they are, that's obvious a mental illness because your mind is different than what your physical body is. But after 1970, don't cut me off. You're not going to cut me off like you do Domain. Okay? I'm not Domain. You're not going to cut me off. So, Danny Glover, sit back. I'm talking. You've been dominating the conversation for an hour and 13 minutes. I just jumped on here. You're not going to talk over me and run over me. Okay? Thank you. So like I'm saying, before Mr. Danny Glover tried to overtalk me and I can't even finish my statement and he been talking on here for over an hour, like I'm saying that prior to 1973, it was classified as a mental disorder if you identify anything other than your sexual birth. So now we move into post 1973 and today. Now, whatever you think in your mind, it's okay. You can identify as a man, as a woman. You can be gender fluid, meaning that you can go back and forth. But all this does, it proves what they said. It's a mental disorder. Either you are or you're not. You can't make it up in your mind. I wake up today, I'm a woman. I wake up tomorrow, I'm a man. Don't you know when you have certain illnesses like cancer, certain cancers attack the sexes differently. Women get breast cancer. Women get ovarian cancer. Men get prostate cancer. A woman cannot get prostate cancer. A man cannot get ovarian cancer. So these are scientific facts. It doesn't matter what you think in your mind. A woman can't get prostate cancer. There's certain diseases that attack the sexes. So, but the problem is nowadays, people think in a mind and identify. So hold on. So I'm segueing to your physical sex you're born with, but in your mind, you think you're something else. People born in a certain country, you're born in a country, you are from that country. In your mind, if you don't think you're black, if you don't think you're white, you're fighting against reality. It's okay. You can think that in your mind, but the facts are facts. That's what I'm saying. And you also have certain diseases that attack certain races. Certain races have different vulnerabilities and affinities to certain diseases too. Just like certain sexes.
Can I ask you a question though?
Go ahead.
I think that whole homosexuality thing, I mean, people can be born with a penis and a vagina.
Yeah, hermaphrodite. That's an hermaphrodite. And that's if you are. And that's if you are. So now I'm gonna cut you off. Before you jump to there, an hermaphrodite maybe can make that statement. But if you're not an hermaphrodite, if you're not born with both a penis and a vagina, then it is what it is. An hermaphrodite can use that. They can use that excuse. They can use that escape hatch. They can use that backdoor plan. A regular person cannot.
Let me say this, man. I went and got I went to the doctor once, and the guy was homosexual, and he was treating me, and he was like, he was crying. Come on, man, I'm being serious. He was crying, and well, he was real upset, and he was like, man, I hate being gay. He kept saying, I just hate being gay. And he was like, man, I get so much flack from being gay. He said, man, if I could hide it, like for instance, he said, what he said to me stuck with me, because he said, man, if I could hide it, I would hide it. He said, but the way I talk, the way I walk, I can't hide it. He says, now this is what and you know that's true. You got little kids 7 years old, and you be like, man, that dude might end up being gay. Well, this is the thing too. When I was a kid, I thank God that I'm not attracted to, animals or men, or, you know what I'm saying? So when I was a kid, I used to think this. I used to say, man, you could be born messed up anywhere. Now, you could be born with 3 arms, 3 legs, 2 heads. Your brain could be messed up. You could be thinking you a dog. You could be thinking you Jesus. And I do believe some people born thinking they are, with that other sickness, thinking if it's a sickness. I'm not saying it's a sickness.
It is.
I do think
it's a mental disorder.
I do think some people may be born with that. And a lot of science kind of talks about that now.
It's a mental disorder. It's a mental disorder, and you're right. Children are born with defects. They're born with 3 heads and 3 arms, and they're born. Yeah, people have defects, and people have mental disorders. That don't make it right.
I mean, I'm not saying, but do you think some homosexuals wish they were attracted to the opposite sex? That's the question.
No. It's a choice.
What's your opinion?
It's a choice.
Jermaine, what's your opinion on it?
Well, first of all, I'm not going to go into that subject because I'm not trying to get banned from YouTube. There's a real thing out there called the gay mafia that will shut you down if you don't say what they agree to you to say. And really? I got too much at stake. Damn. Yes, I got too much at stake. Do I believe somebody is born gay? No, I don't believe somebody is born gay. Because, first of all, from your story, there are people who are gay that don't talk feminine or with that sweet voice. And you got people who talk with that extra lisp because they think that's how you're supposed to imitate a woman. I have never heard a woman talk with an extra lisp like I've heard some gay people talk. I'm gonna leave it at that. I'm not touching that subject because I'm not trying to get shut down.
Yeah. Rich, what's your thought, Rich?
Hey, I had the gay people come in here one time. Well, I ain't gonna say people. I had a whole bunch of gay rights people come in my chat before. They were trolling the shit out of me. When I got them up out of here, I just hit the block button. But
But
what
going
was the
back to
question again? What was the question?
going back to, do you think people are born gay?
Hell no, it's a choice. It's a choice, and I think it's a sexual preference. I don't
Man,
even
look
think
here,
it's a
look here, look at
lifestyle.
it,
I think it's
look
just
at it,
a
look at it,
sexual preference.
look at it this way. Look at it this way. They got countries, they have killed people. They said if you be gay, we gonna kill you. People still end up gay in those countries. They just put some women in jail. I don't know if it was Iraq somewhere for like 23 years because they was gay. I think the torture and the stuff that these people go through, man, these people risk their lives. That ain't no choice. I don't see that as no choice, man. You ain't gonna risk your life for that. I
Oh,
don't
Well,
know, bro.
saying they
well,
born
well.
gay?
I disagree. A lot of people risk their life for choices that they don't have to do. A lot of people sign up to go fight wars. They don't have to. If you believe in something very strongly, civil rights or whatever, if you believe in a cause strongly, you will fight for it. You might give your life.
But
So
look at it this way.
you can't say because they die, they maybe they just really believe really strongly in it, and they want to be a martyr to prove their point.
Shout out to JT, man. Appreciate the super chat, my brother. Got any question or whatever? Post it up, and I get with you.
And then you got it. Then you got a trick too. This goes.
Hold on, big boss. Hold on. Shout out to Mr. G. He said, can he explain the choice to have mental disorder? Go ahead, big boss.
Okay, now that you unmuted me, I was already on that same track. That goes back to a mental disorder. A mental disorder is a mental disorder. If somebody is crazy or they're not thinking right, then of course, they're gonna make all kind of decisions. So you say, I don't think somebody will willingly be tortured and go to jail and be a stigma to society. But if they not thinking clearly, then that goes with it. First of all, it's a mental disorder. Second of all, if someone strongly believes in something, they will just stick to it.
Yeah, but see, let me ask you this, big boss. You know how people will say, you could, some people get turned out and stuff. Like
Yeah,
as a
when they
straight
kid,
man, I don't think I've ever ran into a straight man. Not many straight men will say this. Oh, I can be turned. I don't think straight men, we know it's not possible.
right. Even then, it still would be a choice. Even if something happens, you got a trip. Bad things happen to people all the time. Whether we talking sexual or we talking financial, we talking something else. You can have two kids grow up in a bad neighborhood. Both can experience bad or negative things. Bad things. One kid will let the bad things determine his outcome to be a criminal. The other kid will use those bad experiences to pull himself up. So even if a kid is touched when they're young and they are violated and they're molested, some people will use that and say, well, now I'm going to be gay. And somebody else will use that and say it will never happen again. It still comes back to choice. You can't get away from choice. It's all a choice.
Yeah, I'm having a hard time with it. I think
Even
people. Go ahead.
even if you say that, you know what I'm saying, if it's a mental disorder, remember, I'm not giving my opinion on this, but I'm saying if it's a mental disorder, even if they live in a country that will, threaten the death penalty for homosexual activity as a mental disorder, that threat of the death penalty for homosexual activity is not going to change that mental disorder that they have.
Right? It won't. A mental disorder. That's the whole. That's the whole point of a So you're talking of a mental disorder person like a rational thinking person. If they have a mental, you can't trust a drunk person. A drunk person. A drunk is going to be a drunk. Now, a drunk versus a sober person, that's two different people. But then even on top of that, some people believe very strongly in a cause and they would die for a cause. Even me, I have certain causes that I would die for. I would choose my life. I would lay down my life for my kids. For certain things, I'm not going to say for America, red, white, and blue. for Donald Trump and apple pie and bald eagle. But even me, big boss, I have certain things that I would die for. I will willingly give my life. I would jump on the grenade for. So a lot of things is a choice. They choose that. They choose it. They have a mental disorder, and a lot of times that lust. I lust very heavy for women, but lust is lust. They can lust after the same sex so much that lust don't even let them think straight. You see that now. How many guys? I'm not talking on no gay shit. I'm talking about man or woman shit or whatever, or even a female to a man. How many people do stupid things for love? How many men are in jail behind a woman? How many men are dead behind a woman? How many women are broke behind chasing a man? So even regular people do stupid things for love. Once you get into emotions, you're not thinking logically. So it's all matter of different ways. So you ain't gonna say, well, why would they risk their life and blah blah blah. First of all, mental disorder, number one. Mental disorder means you're not thinking right. You're not connected with reality. Mental disorder. Second of all, some people really believe strongly and they would die for what they believe. Right or wrong. The Nazis, a lot of the Nazis, they were wrong, but they was willing to die for it. It's right or wrong. They believe what they believe and they're willing to die for it. Mental disorder. And then also some people lust so much that they let their little head outthink their big head and they do stupid things for love or fashion or feelings over emotion and logic.
I think Rodney Ellison makes a good point. That's why I'm having a difficult time with it. He says, like, you see these little kids, and I'm not quoting them, and he was saying, what little kid making a choice to be gay, and you can see it. You can see it before and you know what? And then you get people be like, well, it's their family. Some of them guys come from the toughest families. You got like 9 boys and that one dude. So I know I've seen science programs on it and everything, man. So I'll put it this way. I just thank God or whoever that I'm attracted to women. That's my take on it. I mean, because if I wake up one day, or if you wake up one day and in my mind I'm attracted to kids or dudes, so I'm having a difficult time with it because I've seen too many science programs on it, and so I don't know. But answer that though. What little kid at 5 and 6, and you can see that, and we've all seen that, is making that choice?
Well, I believe it's the social environment. But they call it environment. It's a social environment. The people they're around, and now you got a trip.
Nature.
They push the agenda on kids now. Look at all the gay stuff that's targeted towards kids. So we live in a sick society that pushes this and promotes this. Now to get into conspiratorial things, there's certain chemicals they put in water, certain chemicals they put in the air to effeminize men. So you're talking about a social program to effeminize kids. Have you seen the drag queen reading things where they have these drag queens go to preschools and first grade and these men dressed up like women read children's stories to little small kids? This is a big push. It's a big push in our society.
Let me ask y'all this.
Hold on. It's like this. It's like this. Well, like people like to say with black kids and white kids and Asian kids that play on the playground. They play on the playground all fine and dandy until an older person tells them not to play with them, until somebody else poisons them with racism. Same thing with this homosexuality crap. Let a kid be a kid. A boy will play with trucks. A girl will play with dolls. But now when you let people get into their head, tell them it's okay for a boy to wear a dress. So I think that comes from the family.
Let me ask y'all this. Do you think some of the smartest people in America are having this exact same debate? Some of the scientists?
I don't know.
Well, I'm telling you they are. People who are way smarter than us having this discussion.
Possibly.
So, yeah. I mean, they get into the chemical imbalance. Y'all have heard about, some of the scientists talking about they have a gay gene. Now the thing about it is, if they can't come to an agreement, certainly, because I seen somebody be like, "Oh, y'all talking crazy." No, if the people who are the most intelligent in the world on this issue can't come to an agreement, we certainly don't have the more knowledge than they do.
I would say that like a typical leftist will
Uh-oh.
idolize a scholar or someone in science. I don't do that.
Oh man.
I don't put scientists on a pedestal, because these same scientists would tell me that the earth was made by a big bang and dinosaurs existed and we came from an amoeba. So I don't put scientists on a level. Now are they, and then even if someone is smart in one aspect, doesn't mean they're smart in every aspect. A lot of people are book smart. A lot of people can pass the SATs and get high grades and get straight A average, but then they're very dumb and they don't have common sense. So I don't put scientists on a pedestal.
Hey,
I
big
kind
boss.
I
Big
kind
boss.
of do. I
Leftists do that. Leftists
Do
do
you
that.
think Stockholm Syndrome plagues the black community? I'm glad you came on the show, because you're one of the guys that I definitely wanted to talk to about this situation. Do you think this is going down in the black community?
Stockholm
Because,
Syndrome.
yeah,
I would have to say so to a point. This is a big country with hundreds of millions of people. We have tens of millions of Black or African Americans in this country. So yeah, you have a lot of Uncle Toms. You have a lot of Blacks who don't think they're Blacks. You have a lot of Blacks that want to identify as white. You have a lot of Blacks that self-hate. So you have the whole spectrum. So I would have to say that, of course, we do have some levels of Stockholm Syndrome, falling in love with our oppressors. I would have to say that.
so who are the oppressors? Who's oppressing us? And who do you think the black community is trying to protect? Are we trying to protect the white man? Or what's the deal? Are we trying to be Latin? Or what's the deal?
Well, I think it's not no one person. It's the system. This is a system that's been in place for hundreds and hundreds of years. So it's institutionalized. And unfortunately, we live under this system. And so a lot of people, they don't like being seen as a second class citizen or whatnot. So they want to see themselves as being the primary or the dominant race in this country.
Yeah, I'm gonna
But
have to.
Go ahead.
And I was gonna say I have to agree with Big Boss as far as a lot of black people want to protect the system of the United States of America as far as Stockholm Syndrome is concerned. If you evidence and data proves that banks, even there was a recent case where an ex-football player was trying to get a certain account with a bank, and they were, it was evidence proof that it was because of race. So racism
Right.
is ingrained into the society of the United States. Racism
Right.
plays a part when they do redlining, redistricting, gerrymandering, and home loans. Most Americans get zoning. Yes, most Americans establish their wealth with home loans. It is facts that in the United States banking system is racist, because they will give, no matter how good your credit is or how much money you got to put down, they're going to try to give you a loan at a higher rate or more risk or a more terrible loan terms as a black person as opposed to a white person. So this is evidence. The system is up and it's against black people in the United States, but yet still, like Big Boss said, a lot of black people will side with the system instead of trying to fight it and bring it down.
All right, good point, brother. Good point, brother. Sab,
I think I have to agree with them both, but it's global. I talked to you. It's not the United States. It's where doesn't it exist? You go into these systems pretty much. Even a bigger question, a more important question in reference to that whole global thing. Has the institution of racism, has it affected Africa? Certainly. You know what I'm saying? So it exists all over the planet, that whole system. And I like that word. I like it's a system in place. But regressing back, the Stockholm Syndrome, in my opinion, and the oppression of people of color are two different things. I think all of us have been affected by it on some levels or not, especially if we're not conscious of it. You know what I'm saying? So yeah.
All right, I used to work with a guy from Africa, man, and he he was in the country about 5 years, and he used to be so afraid of the white managers. He would just be terrified of them. Just, oh no, man, Rich, you can't do that. It just seemed like his brain was just programmed to just be scared of this guy. And we worked together for a few years, and long story short, he ended up getting his citizenship, man, and it was like almost like he won the lottery. Like, oh man, I'm a U.S. citizen now, man. Yes, man, I'm a U.S. citizen, and to me, man, it just seemed like he had that Stockholm syndrome in his head. Like he felt like now he was equal, I guess, to the rest of the Americans, which include black people. But my whole point is his brain, he was so afraid of white people, man. It was so evident in the way he talked and the way he would deal with them versus how he would deal with the coworkers. It was just like he was just stepping in face, just jumping, just jumping. So I think it definitely exists in America. It definitely, I think a lot of people they value white people' opinion much higher than each other, and I think it's definitely still around, man. They got our minds in prison, man.
Come on, Rich, you tripping, man. You all of us know that the white man ice is colder. You tripping, bro.
Stupid, man, you're attacking me, man. But go ahead, Drees, man. What's up, Drees? You there with us?
Good evening, everybody. What's going on, man?
What's up now?
What's going on, boss?
What's up?
What's up, Jedi?
Chilling on the panel. Shout out to everybody in the chat room. I just got one question, and I'm up out of here. I just want to get y'all opinion on this. I see the thumbnail is Steve and Candyland Man. That's back 1800 something. What does that picture look like right now, as far as the black community is concerned? Think that's still Steve there? Because who's leading everything? Because as far as people that have this whole what is it? This whole stigma of Stockholm Syndrome, it's not a black man. It's not.
All right, go ahead.
It is the black. Mm-hmm. It's a black woman that has Stockholm Syndrome. It's a black woman. You fuck the cops, fuck Trump, fuck the president, fuck Bush. But at the end of the month, she getting that check from where?
Daddy
she
government.
Getting that check from Bush. She getting that check from Trump. Yeah. So this whole thing has changed. So I wish the thumbnail could have been a bit different, but it does. It is applicable to the conversation that we were supposedly having or was having at one point and now having right now. But
if you'd have been here earlier, you'd have found out we were talking about it. And actually, Stockholm Syndrome, and we get back to the definition because you missed it. You come in on the end. The Stockholm Syndrome is identifying with a person who oppresses you. And I think
wait.
Go. We had moved on. Well, we were talking about Stockholm Syndrome and we moved on.
We started the whole show with it.
Yeah, we started.
I knew the show would touch on a lot of different subjects, and that's when we got into the gay talk. You know, when you have a conversation, it goes into other things. So y'all have to understand, like, just because the subject says Stockholm Syndrome, the conversation may go into other things. Now, we don't want it to run too far, so that's why I said, well, let's switch gears a little bit. But we did start off talking about Stockholm Syndrome and where it originated from and everything, the whole nine. And then Brother Domain came on the show and we discussed other things. But you saying you putting it all on the woman, Drake? Is that what you saying?
just saying that picture has changed. I didn't say it was completely on them. It drops, it trickles down to us. You know, it trickles down to us. But at the same time, I just wanted to make sure that everybody back on the panel gets back to the subject of the show, because that's what we want to hear in the chat room. You know, so Brother Domain, Velstrong, Zaba, Rich, y'all continue on and finish out the show on a strong note. Y'all have a good night.
He coming here to tell us how to run the show. Anyway, anyway, he come in this month to tell us what to talk about. Man, he got Stockholm Syndrome. Look, but anyway, I think that you know, I do think it affects us in so many ways, and I do think that, you know, I will agree with Dre on this. You know, there are a lot of brothers. There are a lot of brothers who are in relationships with women, and because how the system is structured, have the power. Well, but then again, that don't mean the guys. Some guys do kiss their baby mamas behind so they can have a relationship with their kids. So I guess that probably would be some form of Stockholm Syndrome with women. You know, I don't know.
Hey, I don't stay behind, but hey, man, I work with it. I work with the system.
I remember them days when my kid was young. I used to have to do the same thing with my baby mamas.
So Dre did make a good point.
Right.
Women, do you agree with that, Domain? I mean, I don't put it all on the women, you know.
Well, to some point, I do agree. Yeah, at some point, I do agree. But you got to understand, one thing you have to understand about any invading army or any conquered people, women are a resource. Most of the time, women are a resource. When invading armies went to other lands and conquered, they didn't bring their women from their hometown. So they had to get the women that were available to them. So they were a resource. So women are going to mostly identify with the winning side. It's a way of self-preservation. It's in all human beings. Women identify with the winning side. In the United States of America, or as Saba say, the United Snakes of America, the winning side is the U.S. government, providing a lot of women with opportunity. So, of course, they're going to identify more with the winning side because in their nature, that's what it is. It is what it is.
Damn.
All right. So do y'all think is this only in the black community or is this in the white community too? Because it seems like a lot of white people.
No. It's not only in the black community, but I guess since we're the black brothers, we were talking about specifically our community. I mean, Stockholm Syndrome first initiated with what the Jews when they were in the concentration camps. You had the Jews who were siding with the Nazis so they could survive. And I think Stockholm was somewhere in Germany, and that's where the term came from. Stockholm, Germany, at the time of the concentration camps and all that.
You know, me and I actually we were talking about it. Yeah, and I was surprised. I thought the same thing too, Domain, but it's from Sweden, and it was from I think that's
bank robbery.
Bank robbery. But you know, certainly I think it clearly identifies. You know, when you had them Jewish people, that's why when we talk about, you know, in reference to our Holocaust, you had collaborators and you had people who tried to fight, but you can't really blame the collaborators. For instance, if you know, there were people in Stockholm saying they'd be like, rape your mama, and people had to do it, or people would put their own mothers and sisters in furnaces. So you can't really blame them. So when you're talking about African companies, African countries, or African people who may have collaborated, you know, you got to take that in consideration. But let me say this last thing. That institution, the enslavement of African people, what made that enslavement different than any type of slavery that existed on the planet, for the first time in human history, people weren't considered human beings. That's what made it totally different. But in any Holocaust, you're going to have people who collaborate to survive any Holocaust. And so you can't really, if I took your son and I'll be like, shoot your daddy in the head, let someone shoot you. Man, some of them kids may pull the trigger, you know, and I can't blame the son. You know, I have to blame the oppressor, the people who brought the system in.
Yo, you know what? The worst thing or top worst things that could ever have happened to black people was racism.
Why can't
and I'm gonna tell you, it's not for the reason you think. It's not because racism hurts the black man. That it was because racism gives the black man an excuse why not to succeed. Why I can't succeed. I can't succeed because other people are making it harder for me to succeed. I can't succeed because other people's opinion of me is not what it should be because I am human. Racism gives black people a reason to say, I can't succeed because. That to me, that's my opinion, it's my personal opinion, because if you're going to find a reason to fail or a reason why you can't get that job, a reason why, oh yeah, it's so hard to get a mortgage or get that redlining, or it's so hard to blend in with the community, or the cops treat me so bad, yeah, okay, that's all the reason. But racism gives black people, black Americans, black people around the world a reason to say, I can't achieve because of this, and it's not my fault. And I think that's one of the worst things that can happen.
Well, this is the thing, Flyboy.
Hold on. Let me jump in real quick. But even if it wasn't racism, people around the world would still use excuses for why they can't succeed. Even if it wasn't racism.
I agree, but now in this era, in the era we live in now, everything is racism, prejudice because I'm black. Because I'm black. It's because I'm black. It's because I'm black. And you gotta, I don't know about you guys, but I get tired of hearing that. For me, it's like, yo, I don't want to hear somebody make excuses why they can't achieve something and because they're black. It's lame because I'm black and I achieve.
All right. Your point is well made. You basically, let me make sure you're saying it right. You're saying that racism, is given, people. I just haven't heard a lot of black people talk like that. I just don't hear people like, I can't succeed because I'm racist. I can't get. I mean, I know some people talk like that, but Flyboy, I think that's in the minority, bro.
It is because it's easy to. Here's the thing, though. The thing why it's in the minority is because what the majority normally goes with is not doing the right thing. The majority goes with the most comfortable solution to a problem. The majority goes with what everybody agrees with. At one point, the majority agreed that slavery was correct, right? We all knew it wasn't. We knew it wasn't, but the majority of slavery was correct.
No, I don't think you heard me. I think black people who try to blame racism on them not succeeding, I think that's a minority.
Oh no,
I don't think a lot of black people talk that way.
That's a majority. If you don't think black people think that way, we just had a whole panel about racism. And then you brought up like things like redlining. You brought up things like, oh, I go to other countries with racism there. We had a whole panel. It's not one conversation, one interview, one anything with racism not mentioned. So how's that a minority? I've never seen any interview where racism wasn't mentioned.
No. What he's saying is racism. People using the excuse that they can't succeed because of racism.
Right. Whenever a person,
I look at everybody on this panel right now, and everybody's, even though there is racism, but everybody on this panel is succeeding.
No, but what I'm saying is that here's the thing though. When you say, "Oh, America's racist," I can't succeed in America, and then you move to another country and you do
I didn't say that. I did not say that.
Well,
I don't hear people. I'm just saying that I don't hear people talk that way. I think you're exaggerating. Like, I don't want to say that because I don't want to get it too caught up in the. But I'm saying I think there are very few people that walk around and go, well, I'm not succeeding, so I'm gonna blame it on the white man. Or I'm gonna blame it on racism. That to me sounds like a white man talking. I just don't hear black people talk like that.
Right.
What's the reason why you left the United States for another country?
Me?
Which one? Both of us?
Either one.
Listen, I love the people here. I love the culture here. I love that you're treated like a human being here. I love the climate. I love everything about this place.
Wait, treat it like a human being. What does that mean?
I mean, I don't have to deal with certain racial incidents that I have to with police profiling.
You see,
Right. Police profiling. Police profiling. Right. But because I left and came somewhere else don't mean I did not succeed.
Yeah. He didn't say he didn't
in America.
Right.
I said I want to go somewhere else. So where's that translate to you that I did not succeed?
No, what that translates to me is not succeed and say I can't succeed in America because they don't treat me like a human.
I can't succeed. I did not say I can't. I said I want to go somewhere else.
Semantics. It's harder for me to achieve in America because they don't treat me with the respect as a black man. That's basically.
I didn't hear that, Flyboy. Well, I didn't hear him say that.
He said
you're interpreting. No, you're interpreting that.
Let me ask you.
He didn't say that.
What do you mean by inhumane? What do you mean by they treat you like a human? What do you mean by that?
What I mean by that is police profiling. They always say it, and then the police. Hold on.
Of who? How many police profiling of who?
Police profiling of black males in the United States.
Okay, Shajaba, does that feel your part right there, Shajaba?
I agree with most of what the man said. Because you have a problem with the word police profiling, I'll take that out. But everything, because I want to be here. That's why, not because you can't make it. I made it in America. So if you didn't know anything about me, I made my
foundation.
I made it.
Come here.
So I don't know where you're going with this.
I'm just saying, for me, from what I see, I haven't ever seen a conversation between anybody where racism doesn't come up or some form.
Okay, but that's Flyboy. That's a whole nother. But Flyboy, that's a whole nother conversation. Flyboy. What I'm saying, the conversation started off going. You're saying black people say I can't make it in America because of racism, and what I'm saying to you is I don't hear black people talk that way.
I'm saying that. Whenever there's an issue, black people, not all black people, but when black people, they throw racism or throw some form of racism in there to say this is partial reason why it's harder for me to succeed. Not can't. That's semantics. It's harder for me to succeed because. Okay, well,
I'll let you slide with the first thing. So that's out of there. So you changed the conversation. There's no doubt, and I have never seen a black person. Really, I have never heard of a black person not acknowledge that racism makes it harder in all realms of life. All realms. If you're a doctor, if you're a lawyer, if you anything, because of the system, surely it affects us negatively. What black person doesn't believe that, or what person? Even white people know that. Even white people know that. Let me say this, Flyboy. If you went to court right now, what you would, if I could change if I murdered somebody or something, if I could change my color, I'd do it. Because if I go in there, a pretty little white girl, I'm gonna get a lighter sentence.
You're taking it wrong. What I'm saying. What I'm saying is that people use it as an excuse or a reason or something like that. And I think that does more detriment than actual racism. I think that because if black people, racism exists, okay, but I'm not going to bring it up. I'm not going to talk about it. I'm not going to sit and have a discussion on it because you know what? None of that stops things from moving.
Yes, but this is the thing. This is the thing. The reason why talking about it is important. The reason why talking about it is important, Flyboy, is because it affects us in so many ways. You know as well as I do. You're less likely to be treated by a doctor if you have a heart problem. He's less likely to advise you. I mean, and the list goes on. Racism permeates the United States of America. It permeates, and as a result, it is intertwined and inextricably linked to our lives. This is why it comes up.
I think it's more.
I heard a professor of mine when I was working on my bachelor's. He was white. He was like, a black person shouldn't have to wake up in the morning and say I'm black. And it was like, All the black students looking at each other like, what planet this dude on? You better know you black. When you run into the police, you better know you black. When you dealing with certain entities, you better know you black.
I think it's more important to try and find a way to succeed in this condition versus keep bringing up that. To me, I think rather than saying, "Oh, I can't get this loan because they're redlining," let me find a way. Let me rather than preaching about this, let me find a way that I can get a loan. Let me go somewhere else find it.
But see, the point that you're missing is the point that you might be missing is in the United States of America, we have some of the most successful black people in the world. We have achieved. We have done great things. We are achieving in spite of racism. I mean, it's not like black people are downtrodden and ain't doing anything. Certainly, we have our knuckleheads, but on a whole, black people off the chain in America.
Then why can't we get through one conversation without bringing up racism?
Because we black people and it permeates us as a people. That's why. That's the answer to your question.
We got to think outside of that, man. We got to be strong black folks that think outside of. Let's discuss on ways we can achieve greatness versus ways that racism affects us. Let's talk about ways that we can join forces and do things that the other black people can do. Let's not sit here and keep talking about racism.
I think you can.
Hold on. I just want to be very clear. This particular show is about Stockholm Syndrome. And when it comes to the black community, Stockholm Syndrome affects the black community in the United States in a racial way. So we can't have racism involved in this conversation because it's intertwined with the Stockholm Syndrome subject.
And I think you can get online, and I think you can go to an investment group, you can go to a real estate group, you can go to a doctor's group of black people, and they ain't even talking about it.
But there ain't a lot. There ain't a lot. You know why? Because everything permeates by racism. There's not a lot. Bro, I'm in like 5 different investment groups. There's like 2 black people in it. I'm like in 10 different real estate groups. Like 2 black people in it. You know why? Because all the black people in different things talking about racism and racist things. We gotta, as a people, we gotta bring ourselves up by the coattail of other ways, man. We can't just keep permeating things on racism, man.
Don't get like I said though, Flatboy. Yeah, don't get me wrong. Don't get me wrong. We got our knuckleheads, but if you want to talk about successful black people, we doing it. I mean, now we got our problems, we got our issues. So do white folks. You know what I'm saying? Look at Donald Trump. But what I'm trying to tell you though, bro, is we can't be hard on black people. Because the reality is black people are right. I mean, you know, we're one of the most, what do they say? You know, now I know we put a lot of money back into the system, but when you look at our positives, man, ain't no need to knock us across the head.
Ignoring the problem doesn't make it go away.
Exactly.
Right.
But it's not about going away, it's about finding a better way to achieve rather than keep focusing on the problem. Because the problem, you ever heard that saying? I'm not religious. Maybe you guys are. I'm not religious. You ever heard it saying in the Bible where it says, I'm not sure, it says something like, grant me the serenity to change the things I can change and the serenity of not to care about the things I can't change. You probably know the serenity prayer better than I do. But that's how I feel as though black people have to be. We have to know what we can change and what we need not to focus on. And I think Stockholm Syndrome and stuff like that, I don't think that's something that we can change. Because it's just genetically and taught to us through school and stuff. The way we can change that mental is if we change our whole thought or process of even addressing it. You know?
No, Flatboy. I taught history for
Oprah Winfrey. Like Oprah Winfrey, everybody says, okay, she'll attack all of the black men, right? But she won't go after Donald Trump. She won't go after Harvey Weinstein. She won't go after these people. But nobody ever thinks maybe she's doing that so that we could correct our own people before somebody else corrects us and they can use it against us?
Nah, man.
Nobody ever thinks that?
She's in media, man. She's in media, and her voice is very powerful, man. I don't know if you remember the show she had on beef and stuff like that. And when she had that show on beef and she showed how the cows were getting slaughtered and it was picking up the guts off the floor and making ground beef and stuff like that, it affected the beef industry tremendously, man. Like they put out lawsuits against her and everything. So her voice is very powerful.
Now,
Very powerful, man.
Would you rather Oprah Winfrey be destroying our own people, or some white host start saying that, oh yo, but look at Russell Simmons.
The white people already doing it. That's what Asaf is trying to tell you, man. He's saying that the deck is already stacked against you, man. That's all he's saying. He's not saying, oh man, you can't make it because racism exists. He's just saying, if you get slapped in the face, don't say, hey man, I didn't get slapped in the face. You got slapped in the face. He's saying this shit does exist, bro. Be aware of it. You know what I'm saying?
And not only that, Flyboy, there have been millions of black people discriminated against in jobs, millions of black people discriminated all over the world because they're black. And as long as that discrimination exists, it affects us in a negative way. We have to talk about it. Racism is polarizing. It infects us and affects us. You can't. We have to make it in spite of. We have to make it in spite of the racism. I get your point. We have to, and trust me, brother, we doing it. Don't sit up there and act like all these black people just doing nothing. If you're around successful black people, or you know successful black people, you know that it's happening. Very few other groups of people have been as successful as African Americans.
Yeah,
you have to focus. You have to focus on our positives and not our negatives.
Right, but then what I'm saying is that there's not a lot of mediums where there are successful black people sitting here talking. Like I just saw roll the tape the other day. This video with Dame Dash talking about owning businesses and how everything else aside from producing generational wealth is a distraction. I think racism is becoming a distraction in America, man, in the United States. I think racism is becoming a distraction in the United States, where everybody's so focused on that we're not moving on at the rate that we should be. Now, I'm not saying that it's not happening. I'm just saying the focus on racism and color and difference between white and black people is coming. Maybe just from where I'm at in New Jersey and New York, looking at news and things like that. Maybe it's just my personal opinion because I'm around here. But to me, it feels like the whole United States is basing everything on a racism thing, and black people getting so emotionally caught up in it that now we're not even trying to achieve greatness at the level that we was achieving greatness in the past. And I think
that brings up a good point, because the brother Demain said earlier that's why he moved to Colombia, but you was doubting him on like, oh, so you get discriminated against? But you just said, you know what I'm saying, you basically kind of contradicted what you said earlier.
No.
He said earlier he moved because he wasn't being treated right and he wanted to get away from racial discrimination.
Right.
No, and he was questioning him like, yo, well.
And you go ahead. And you can't get away from it. I was talking to a black doctor, and he was talking to me about, he was saying, he wrote a book also, and how the stress of racism and how it sends a lot of black men to their grave. So you can't, and just think of the stress that we have as black people. White people don't even have to deal with. And just that alone, man, I can understand why Demain said, man, I only got one life. I want to try to live somewhere else where I feel comfortable or where I feel in peace. I identify with that. And when he's saying that, like, man, why would anybody say anything against that? That doesn't mean he hasn't been successful. That doesn't mean he isn't successful. That just means he be like, yo, this is where he want to live in peace.
So let me ask you a question though. If I'm in a fight to fight for some territory, and I just need a territory, I'm trying to make a change, not just leave. How does that help? How does that help winning the territory?
Well, it doesn't.
It doesn't. Right? It doesn't.
Right? It doesn't. So if I'm trying to,
who said he was in a fight to get territory?
If I'm trying to make the United States better for my children, in a better environment for my kids to grow up in a less racist environment than the United States currently is, how is leaving the United States helping.
Well, if that's
hold on. Let me ask that real quick.
Go ahead.
You're right. I have to agree with you 100% if I'm trying to make it a better place and for the future generations. Right. That's the question you got to understand. Am I trying to make it the United States a better place for the future generations?
Didn't Bob Marley make it a better place, and he wasn't even in America? Didn't Marcus Garvey spend a lot of time away from America? Didn't he make it? Didn't Kwame Nkrumah? Didn't Jomo Kenyatta? And they weren't here. I mean, if
what do you mean? They all came back and they fought. They had maybe they didn't live
Flyboy.
They still
they weren't living here. You
gotta tell me how they made it a better place then.
Well, I would say, think about it like this, man. The Bible is a philosophy, right? And a lot of people will say because of what's written, they have influenced the world. And I don't think very few people would say Bob Marley hasn't influenced the world through his music in a positive way. So you don't have to be in America to have a positive impact on America. If I went to Japan right now and became the most successful black whatever, do you realize how much of a positive impact that would have on black people in America?
I like Bob Marley. I don't want anybody to think this is wrong. But what direct impact did Bob Marley have on the black men in the United States or black people?
I give you a perfect example. Because I'll give you a perfect example.
Music.
I can give you a perfect example. I'll answer. Probably I can answer it with another question. Do you think Bob Marley hasn't changed anybody's life in America in a positive way?
I think Bob Marley through his
part of the civil rights movement, man.
I think Bob Marley through his music has given black people a distraction to ease their pain of the things that go on in the United States.
Hold on.
Wow.
Hold on, real quick.
Wow. Marley, man. You don't know the history then.
Do you realize?
Hold on.
Go ahead, man.
Real quick. As far as music-wise, yes, that's how. That's how.
Hold on. I'm not gonna be long. Bob Marley has affected the lives of Black Americans inside the United States, being outside the United States, by bringing awareness to our struggle, a voice for the voiceless. As the world looks at countries like the United States and suffering people from outside looking in, that affects a change. No matter if you yes, Bob Marley is worldwide. People know about our history, our struggle through the music of Bob Marley. Yes,
and then also, man, there are so many examples. I mean, look at Haile Selassie, how he changed the world. Look at Toussaint Louverture, how he changed the world and influenced people. So the list goes. There's so many people. I mean, the philosophies of Dr. Martin Luther King influenced the entire world, bro. Of black people in other countries. Our struggle, black people's struggle here, and other black people hearing about it, affected a whole continent. It affected a lot of Africa to be decolonized and affected their struggle.
See, what Jerry Owens is saying is incorrect. You got to understand this. It's a difference between pretending something didn't happen and moving on to make yourself greater and not letting it hold you back. There's a big difference between pretending something didn't happen or doesn't happen and pushing forward to make yourself great. And that's where it comes in with me, with people, with black people and racism. Yes, black people have, racism happens. I would never say it doesn't happen. It is strong effect, but what I do say is I don't look towards racism. I look towards how can I make my life better? How can I improve and make generational wealth?
But that's actually, Flyboy
doesn't play a part because this part right here matters the most. And
let me ask you this real quick.
But by you being a good brother fights against racism.
You said what?
But
by you being a good brother, you actually fight against racism whether you realize it or not.
Right, but that could be something that's in what's that called? It's a subconscious. I do it subconsciously. It does that, but that's not my focus. My focus is not to change the racism. My focus is to show that it's possible for you to have a way to make it in life. Like I don't care. I don't like somebody on my page. Somebody said, somebody just said this happened today. Now it's crazy that we're talking about, but this happened today. Somebody said my channel, because I have a section called the Black Man's Guide to. I'm gonna even read what they said. I'm gonna read exactly what they said. Because because he just put this up today, and I'm gonna break down exactly how it fits in and blends in with this right here. All right, so the guy's name was Pancho or something like that. Here you go. He goes, all right, here you go. He goes, imagine calling something the white man's guide. Do your fellow man a favor and stay away from that racism. My channel, I have a section called The Black Man's Guide to World Travel. You see what I'm saying? Now, that's not putting on a racism thing. That's just giving a search engine so that black kids like myself, when it was 18, can search it and say, wow, it's somebody like me doing this, and I can do something similar. Now, I did not do this because I thought racism was in there, but people would take it as a racist thing. Like you said, it's a racist thing, but it's not. What it is just showing there's a way.
Someone like you.
Right. If we focus on showing that there is a way, regardless of what people think it may be racism or something like that, I think that we should be leaning more towards showing that is a way. And I don't think that, every conversation doesn't end up showing as a way, but every conversation has racism in it.
But check this out, though. I just want to be real. I'm going to be brief.
Mm-hmm.
Me living outside the United States, Saba living outside the United States, is showing people like us there is a way to leave or move outside the United States if that's the choice that they want. We're providing more options and choices. Life is about options and choices, not being limited.
I agree. That part definitely does. It definitely. I can't even argue with that. I'm just saying, as far as the focusing on like everything with a little bit of racism, like it's a little bit hard to kind of move out of the United States and then still comment on what's going in the United States.
Like, but Flatboy,
I'm not commenting on what's going on in there. It was asked posed to me, why did I move outside? And technically, I'm not 100% outside of it. I'm 50% on, 50% off.
But you know what?
It was asked for me, my personal reasons why I moved out.
Right.
Flatboy.
But you're not trying to be Colombian, right? That's what I'm saying. You're not trying
Absolutely
to be,
not. Absolutely not.
I was trying to break down some power. It's just that he blends in. And
that's my whole point.
That's all I'm trying to say. That's what I was trying to get to earlier before I had to go. But yeah.
Yeah, but Flyboy, I think it's somebody had posted, it's they said you believe cognitive dissonance works like a rape victim, not really dealing with the whole rape thing. Every man she runs into, is going to be dealing with rape, and you have to realize how vicious racism is. I mean, we didn't bring this system into place. As a result, it's always slapping us upside the head and in our face. It's always in our face. And like I said, if you get in groups of white folks, it permeates their thought process. They say the first thing you see when a person walks through the door, the first thing you see before you see their male or female is their ethnicity or their race. Racism is here. It's all around us, and it permeates us. Unfortunately, it affects Black people much more negatively. It's here. It exists. It's gonna be in and out of our conversations. Even most of the people who you talk about, maybe most of the people who you admire, their consciousness of their blackness and racism, pretty much. The only people that kind of talk like that. And I'm Republicans, man, trying to coalesce with them white folks, trying to acquiesce to them white folks. You hear them guys talking like that, but for the most part, the average Black person, you don't hear them talking about, let's not talk about race. Let's not talk about race. You only see them. Tell me I'm wrong.
Right here, Jerry Otis, Cosby, he turned against his Black folks. I never turned against my Black folks. I even go to the limit where I separate Black from African because there's a difference.
Do you separate yourself from Africans? Because before you left, you said you don't identify with being from Africa.
I don't identify as African American. I don't. I identify as a Black American. Because here's the thing: if my father, right? If my father, I don't know my father. I'm just saying hypothetically. If my father is from Africa, right, and my mother is from America, born Native American, I get to choose which one I want to be, or am I just because if I get to choose, I can choose either one. Like people go on based on your skin complexion. They say, "Oh, you're from Africa because you're black." Dog, we're all from Africa if that's the case, because the first person that lived ever was from Africa. Skin complexion is just a random genetic trait. Like my son, I'm brown skinned. My son is not. My daughter is. So it's like me, I separate African from black. Now I do still have a connection with African because my daughter is African. My daughter is literally African American. Her father is American from America, and her mother is from Africa, Ghana. So yes, she's African American. I'm not African American. I'm black. That's how I feel as though, because I don't identify with Kunta Kinte. I don't identify with Shaka Zulu. I identify with Malcolm X. I identify with Martin Luther King. I identify with people I was raised to know in my black community in America. And once, like I said before in the other podcast, I am not in a rush to go identify with people, regardless of how it was back then. If you sold me off as a slave, I'm not rushing back to be, oh, I'm African again. No, I'm Black American, and I will fight being Black American until the day that I die versus being African American. I'm Black American.
I don't even think that's a fight you need to fight, because there's no more group of people that has contributed to the United States society and culture than the black man, the man who was taken from Africa into America. So our dues have been paid thousands of times over.
You know that taken word, man. That taken word gets me, man. That taken word. White people.
So you Kanye West.
White people did not take black people from goddamn Africa. They was Africans sold and gave black people away. White people did not come with their with the 3 boats and 100 folks and say, guess what? All y'all black people.
All right. Well, let me ask you a question, Fly Boy. Let me ask you a question now. You ever heard of
that's deep.
a law they say possession, or
you said what?
I put it to you like this. I got a stolen car and I come to you and say, hey, Fly Boy, I got a stolen car. And you accept the car, you pay me money for the car, you take the car. Now you're just as guilty because you know this is a stolen car, right?
Right. But now the owner, but check it out.
But so you might have bribed me
but
for that car.
Here's the issue with your theory. Because check this out. So you stole a car from Sajaba, right?
Right.
You sold the car to me, right?
Right.
I take this car to America and run it into the ground, right? Sajaba is now mad at me, but not mad at you. That's the difference between the black people not being mad at the black people that sold them versus the white people that brought them to America. That's the difference.
Well, I see where you go ahead. Hold on, real quick. What what government do you pay taxes to?
What do you mean?
What government do you pay taxes to? What government are you under the jurisdiction of?
United States.
So a government's responsibility is to uphold the civil rights and protection of all of its citizens. As a citizen of the United States, your beef is with your government. Other people may have made, bad decisions and mistakes about that, but I know for a fact that African tribes are at war and Africans have a guilty hand in the slavery incident. However, my beef is with the government that is supposed to uphold my rights.
Okay, wait a minute. So you have no beef. You have no beef with the guy that stole your car, but you have beef with the guy he sold it to. That's backwards. That's ass backwards. To not have
hold on.
But have beef with the guy that he sold it to.
I don't know the individual. I don't know the individual who stole my car.
You do. We know for a fact that.
What's the name of the people? Give me a list of names of people who did this.
We know for a fact that African tribes sold black people, other Africans as slaves to the white folks, so they could bring the white folks over. Black.
So my thing is this: give me a list of the particular people. Give me a list of the particular people, and I'll go to that continent and find them and hunt them down and get my dues. If you can provide a list of particular people,
but Fly Boy,
I'll pay taxes. Hold on. I pay taxes. I'm under the U.S. government jurisdiction, so my beef is with the U.S. government. At the time, the U.S. government told my people we weren't human, that we can be owned and treated like treated like animals, that's where my beef starts. That's where my beef starts. That's all I'm saying.
Yo, bro, I'll say this, Flyboy, man. It's gonna be difficult to have a conversation with someone who is who doesn't even understand like how it's just you. Let me try. I think we talked about this before. Yeah, somebody says Africa really didn't profit in the long run. When even through colonizations, when white folks actually colonized Africa, there weren't many schools that Africans, they basically, in the schools that they did make, they made it dependent on the white system. Okay, I think when we started talking about this before, groups of people around the world had been enslaving one another for centuries. This has been going on in Africa. It's been going on in. The thing is, though, that, like I said to you before, our Holocaust, you can't really fault the collaborators. Now, there's a book. There's a famous book. Is a lot of it was required reading for, and it's required reading in a lot of countries. It's a guy named Chinua Achebe, and he calls it "Things Fall Apart," and he's basically talking about how when white people started coming to Africa, black people began to panic. Black people had no choice. When somebody has a gun to your head, or they're going to imprison you.
That's not. No,
let me. But I didn't cut you. I listened to you patiently.
You're right.
I was patient.
My apologies.
I was patient because this is what I'm trying to say is kind of true. I mean, when black people collaborated for different reasons, but one of the main reasons for collaboration, or why we were sold into slavery, because black people were forced. When you have the whole world gang up on a continent, they have no choice in the matter. It's just like I say, if I come into your house and I go, look, man, somebody gonna die. You want me to kill 2 of your kids, or you want me to kill 1? Now, if you don't make a choice, I'm gonna kill 2. You'll probably end up saying, okay, sir, just kill 1. I don't believe that you are saying white people were not in Africa. White people were not in Africa stealing black folks. They designed a whole system. Black people didn't design that system of slave ships and castles and ways of going into the interior of Africa. They didn't design that system. They didn't design that system of creating markets. Black people didn't design the system in reference to this type of slavery. Now, if you don't have that much respect for us as black people, I mean, it speaks volumes. It speaks volumes. Now, I mean, and I would say this: if your family was over there, if you were over there in the 1600s, and you were over there, and the white men were coming to your village, you have no choice. Be like, you gonna have to hunt black people. Let me finish, bro. Let me finish. This is undeniable history.
It's not.
This is well for most people it would be. Man, you ain't gonna let a brother finish. You ain't gonna let a brother finish. You take it then.
Because what you're saying is not in the books. It's not in the history books. Hey, Rich.
Oh my God.
Rich, if you got beef with Jermaine, right, Rich? If you got issues with Jermaine, right, and you got Shajaba that lives under your thing, and I offer you 5 guns to give me Shajaba, are you gonna give me Shajaba? Is that easier than me just coming and taking Shajaba? Yes, it makes more sense. It's easier for me to offer you goods that can get you to conquer the rest of your tribes that you may have issues with, rather than trying to come steal them, because if you came and try to steal them, people will be dying. These slaves will be useless. But for me to offer rich goods, that's what they did. They offered goods and they offered guns. They offered what they had in the West. They didn't come and just oh, take this gun, either give me 2 or I'm gonna give me 1 or I'm gonna take 2. No, they said, here, Rich, I got these guns, I got these drugs, I got this stuff that can help you out against Demain. So instead of you losing to Demain, because I'm gonna offer Demain the same opportunity, you give me Shazaba and a couple more slaves, and I'm gonna take them back to America. That's what happened. They didn't come in there with guns and say, oh, you Africans only got bow and arrows, because it was more Africans when they came. They came on ships. They came across. They didn't come.
A lot of these Africans were tricked too, man. You got to realize a lot of them was tricked into going over there.
I can't.
And, you know, they were saying, hey, we want y'all to help us explore this and that. A lot of them were tricked too, man. You can't just say they always given up by Africans.
Hold on. I'm sorry. I don't mean to cut you off.
Go ahead, bro.
I'm going to agree with Saba and Flyboy. Both of you are correct, but that just explains the intricacies and the complications of that time of slavery. One thing you have to keep in mind, we as brothers from different parts of the United States in the same country identify as a same group, as a unit. Even today, we have Pan-Africanism, which means people of our color, of our phenotype in other countries, we identify. Some may not, but we identify as our people. Back then, when this was going on, there was no concept of Pan-Africanism. There was no concept of African. It was tribes. And also, the first people who were enslaved in Europe were Europeans. The Vikings enslaved the Scottish, the Irish. The Romans enslaved the British.
Every country.
So I say exactly. So I say that to say this. I'm not going to go back thousands of years ago to beef with some tribes in a foreign continent. My generation is in the United States. My beef is with the government that was supposed to allow my rights as a human. To this day, I'm still denied rights as a human. So my beef is with the government who is not, I pay tax to, who is supposed to uphold my rights.
Me personally, I'm not having beef with nobody, and I damn sure ain't gonna have beef with the person who's driving my stolen car and not have beef with the person who stole my car. It doesn't make any sense. It doesn't make any.
Fly, you're gonna let me.
Hold on. If you see your stolen car on your block and you see some little punk get out of it, you know you can take them. You mean to tell me you ain't gonna sock him in the nose and get your car back?
Here's the thing, though. You're acting as if I don't know who stole my car. I'm going to sock him in the nose. Then I'm going to drive my car back to who stole my car and sock him in the nose too. But see, it's not how black people are saying. Black people are saying, I'm just going to sock him in the nose and forget he stole my car. I'm going to sock the white person in the nose and forget the African that sold me to the slavery. That don't make no sense.
Will you agree that we still in the matrix? We still in some type of slavery right here, right now. Even though you're making money.
I think the slavery is the lack of you being able to be happy because you feel as though it's something that other people have control over that's making you not happy. Like you guys say, oh, I can't believe this guy Flyboy thinks there's no racism. I can't believe he says it doesn't affect him. But I think that's a slavery mentality that you guys have that allows racism to affect you in a way that you guys are letting it affect you. I'm not saying that it just doesn't affect me in the same way. I think that's part of slavery, mind control. When I say this, if you believe in religion, you're a slave. You know why? You know why I say you're a slave if you believe in religion? Because religion was taught by the slave master. Anything that the slave master tells you is not going to benefit you at the most, but you believe in. If you believe in not being able to achieve because of racism, that makes you a slave because you're holding back your stuff. And
chill. Don't you start.
Hey, you talking about your cabinets, bro?
Stop. Don't you start. Chill, bro. Chill.
You know, I cannot believe.
Wait a minute. What kind of job we got on, man? He got on the 1960 ABA shorts.
Oh shit!
He got the Will Chamberlain on. all jokes aside, though, no. Personally, I think that's part of slavery. Mentally, is part of slavery. Me, I don't subscribe to slavery mentally, man. And it's okay if everybody else does, but for me, I don't subscribe to it mentally, man.
And listen, I agree with what you're saying. I agree with what you're saying. But the point I'm making is, like I said, both of you brothers have excellent points, but it's more intricate than somebody stealing my car and then selling it to another person, my stolen car, and I go, it's deeper than that. It goes.
Well, I think what's kind of sad is I was trying to give a history lesson, and I can't believe you didn't let me finish, Flyboy. You should have let me finish.
Joe, what up, Joe? No, but they don't like your shorts, man.
He and DR, man.
They don't want to see your shorts.
They want to see. They want to be gay.
He's in Dominican Republic. That's how they do it out there. That's how they do it out there, man.
That's right. That's right.
He trying to blend in. He's trying to blend in. That's how they do it out there.
That's right. Hey, look, man, look. If y'all
are you trying to be Dominican?
He's trying to be Dominican. He's just
Hey, man, I'm home, man. I'm home. I'm in the house, man. How I'm supposed to be looking, man? I'm in the house. But look, Flyboy, you gotta let me finish my little spill, man, because I didn't think it was, I didn't think it was a bad thing. I think that like I said, white people created that whole system, and and it's almost like, how can you not even you don't even want to fault white people for nothing, man. You protected them mugs like you got that damn syndrome. You know what I'm saying? I mean, like, goddamn, man.
He didn't say.
What's amazing to me though is that the lack of history knowledge that you're talking about, Flyboy. You really can pick up an elementary school book almost and see how they created this whole system. Did slavery exist? Yes. Arabs was engaged in it before the white folks were. I mean, and black folks was engaged in it before Arab folks was engaged in it. Arab folks was, but that, we get that. We get that the slavery existed throughout the world. But when I talk about collaborators and perpetrators, it's like you skip over that whole point. Like that doesn't exist. And like I said to you, Flyboy, if you were in Africa at the time and you had a tribe, you would basically put in a position where you had no choice. Many people did not have a choice. Slavery was pretty normal in a lot of places in the world. This is why you can see it in some of these so-called books of the Quran and the Bible. You can see slavery talked about. So it existed. But again, and I have to remind you, what made this type of slavery of black people so different? Not only did it still affect us to this day, the residuals of slavery still affect black people all over the world to this day. That's what makes it different. For the first time in human history, people didn't see other people as human beings. And I can't believe you said white people wasn't going and robbing kids and being sure. They made people, they forced these people to work for them. You had no choice. These people didn't have no choice in much of Africa. They didn't have no choice. It's just like the Jewish people, like I said, was throwing their own mothers in the furnace. You don't attack the guy who's being abused. You don't attack the guy who has no choice. You attack the perpetrator.
I personally choose not to attack neither one. That's my whole point. I'm not attacking. I'm not mad at white people, and I'm not mad at the Africans. That's what you guys might be missing. I'm saying that for black people to be mad at white folks and not be mad at the Africans that sold them is hypocritical. That's what I'm saying.
You think Jewish people are mad at the Jewish collaborators?
I'm not Jewish. I didn't go through that process. What I'm saying is,
oh well, let me tell you why they're. Let me tell you why. Let me tell. I get you said your point. You said, and people understand your point. But what we're saying is the Jewish people aren't mad with the Jewish people.
Why are we bringing up Jewish? None of us is Jewish.
Because I'm trying to establish a point here. I'm trying to establish a point. Let me establish my point.
You're trying to connect another race, ethnicity, race, and their cause and their issues with ours, but it's not connected.
No,
different ones.
No. I'm trying to establish. I'm trying to make a point that Jewish people aren't angry with their collaborators because they understand. They understand those people had no choice. That's all I'm saying.
Here's another thing you were saying. You're saying that they had no choice. Bro, I'd rather die than try to. Here's the issue. Here's the issue where I stand, and I'm not holier than thou, but here's where I stand. I don't feel as though the ending is justified. I mean, the means are justified by the ending with nothing. I don't feel as though the means justify. I mean, the ending is justified by the for no reason.
I get you.
With that said, but you said I wouldn't have had a choice in Africa. No, I would have died on.
But that's because, man. But in your defense, I get it. In your defense, that is a 20th century mindset, and certainly most black people would die to be enslaved. Let me finish, bro. Let me finish. Can you let me finish? Can you let me finish? I'll let you talk. Let me finish. Let me finish. If you put a black person in slavery right now, you probably got to kill him. The only way you can enslave black people now, and like they said, slavery, you had to create a slave. You had to change the mind. So you can't. It's difficult. It's difficult from a historical perspective to say what you would and what you would not do. If you were in 1640 or 1712 and you was in Africa, it would be impossible for you to have the same mindset. Now, if you don't understand psychological history, you're not going to understand what I'm saying. It would be impossible, Flyboy. You would basically be doing the same things that people do during that time. And if you had a tribe, and they were talking about killing your mother, you would probably do the same thing that most Africans had done.
I'd have been dead or thrown off the ship. That's what I'm saying. That you
don't understand psychological history. You just don't. You don't understand.
The people back in the slaves back in the day that thought like me, you know what happened to them? They died fighting for their cause, or they got thrown off the ships. You know the ones that live like that think like you, they stayed on the ship and said, "Yes, master." It's a difference. You ever see that?
Very few people had a 20th century mind. Very few people had a 20th century mind.
You ever see Black Panther where the guy Michael B. Jordan said, what do you say? I'd rather die on the ship than be the slave over here. Yeah, that's the people that have my mind state. So there were people that had my mind state.
So Flyboy, if you got your whole family there and they said, if you kill yourself, I'm gonna kill your mother, your sister, your brother, and your grandma, you still gonna kill yourself?
Why would I kill if I attack them, if I don't attack them, I'm not gonna kill myself. I'm gonna fight for my family. I'm gonna fight.
They say, hey, if you try to fight us again, we're gonna kill your whole family.
I'm gonna fight because I want my family to know that you go down with a cause. You don't go down like a sucker. You go down with a cause. You fight for what you believe in. You don't, oh, yes, boss, and I'm going to do what you're going to say. No, you fight for what you believe in.
So I understand where you're coming from, Flyboy, and I get where you're coming from. But like I said earlier, you're thinking with a 21st century mind state. Back then, there was no unification of Pan-Africanism. So you saying you would do whatever you need to do to protect your family. Now, what if it was some random other family that some third party came and said, okay, well, you got to help us capture some of them, and we want to put them in these boats and take them away.
Because they would have came in raping. They would have came in raping.
Let me finish. Or we going to bring the war to your family. Now, would you collaborate with them to go to that person's family?
Say it one more time.
I said, okay, so for instance, I'm putting it like this. This is how it was. You have your family, you have your unit. If there's another group of people that you don't know nothing about, they don't even look like you. They may look like you or whatever, speak a whole nother language. And there's a third party that
Are they black?
No. It don't matter if they're black or no. No, they're not black. No, they're not black. They're not black. So now, hold on. Now, there's a third party that's not black as well. They're not like you. So it's 3 different parties, A, B, and C. You're party A. Party B comes to you and say, help me capture some of them people, or I'm gonna bring the war to your people. What would you do?
That's not an even connection, because the people.
Yes, it is.
No, because let me tell you why. Because that's 2 people that both of the people are black. It's like saying this. If I had people from Newark, New Jersey, right, and then I had people from Newark, New Jersey, and I had people from Irvington, New Jersey, who I didn't know, and then I had some New Yorkers come to me and say, "Hey, come with me to jump these guys from Irvington, New Jersey, so that and we're gonna help you out." No, me and the guys from Irvington, New Jersey, are gonna jump the guy from New York. That's how.
Why? Why is that?
That's
how.
Again? Like,
man, I don't understand.
I don't hear him. Hold on, stop. Hold on. Say that again. You said what?
Here's the synopsis you're saying. If I'm from Newark, New Jersey, right, which I am, and there's some people from Irvington, New Jersey, right, who I don't know, but they're from Irvington, New Jersey, and then some New Yorkers come over from New York and come to me and say, "Hey, let's jump these people from Irvington, New Jersey." No. We gonna jump you because we from Jersey. We Jersey strong.
Because right.
Should have been back in
because you identified as
I identified because we I don't know you, but we from the same tribe, same city, whatever. I don't know you at all. Just like if I was in Africa, I don't know you. You might be from South Africa and I'm from Ghana. I don't know you, but we both from Africa. We're not gonna.
Hold on. That's the difference. Exactly. That's the point I'm making. Hold on. That's the point I'm making. Your mentality is 21st century. Back then, they didn't see themselves as the same.
They were, but those people got killed. That's why.
Back then they didn't have no goddamn choice. They did not have a choice back then. Once you see your daughter, let me finish. Once you see your daughter being raped, once you seeing your mama head cut off, and the stories that they were hearing, bro, they had no choice. Why would Dre say something? Let me finish, bro. Let me finish. For Dre to say some dumb shit like that show you people had a choice. Like I said, man, y'all using this 20 New York and all that, bro. You ain't got no choice. You gonna die. And I'm gonna rape your mama first. When you in those situations, let me finish. That's what was going on, brother. Yes. If you don't know that's what's going on, you got to read some more. And you were forced into them situations. You had no choice. You couldn't get up with nobody and be like, well, I'm gonna fight y'all back. No, we gonna kill all y'all up in here. That's how slavery worked. I don't know why y'all using New York and all that.
All right, well, here's the thing. There's slaves back then that died for what they believe in. I would have been one of them slaves that died for the believing, and you would have been one on the boat. Simple as that. It's nothing wrong.
I would say this to that. I would say this to that. Okay, I heard you. I would say this to that. Okay, I would say this to that. I would say this to that. Let me say this to that. What you're saying is, if I was there, because you done said it about 4 times, so we've heard you clearly. Don't say it again. Okay. What you're saying is, if I was there, I'm going to react this way. I'm telling you, I think that's impossible to say because you weren't conditioned during that time. You don't. Chances are, and we can say this from looking at so many Africans that died or killed themselves or jumped over the ship. And that's our real numbers on, because I don't think those people were any different than us in reference to their humanity. Very few people decided to commit suicide. So we would have to say, with that century's mindset, chances are most people wouldn't commit suicide, or most people wouldn't say, okay, come in and kill my family. I'm not hunting no slaves. I just don't think most people would do that. But we can say what we thought. But when we look at history does not support that.
History was written by who? The victor, right? The victor.
No.
Why would the victor? What? The history is written by the victor. If you don't believe that, then you just don't believe in the truth. The victor writes history. That's who writes history. Whoever won. So why would the people who won want you to know that there were African people who say, you know what? No, you're gonna rape my mother, you're gonna rape my sister. I'm gonna come fight you to my death. We know why? Because that would inspire others to know, fight for a cause and believe in yourself. But you know what?
That's okay. Let me respond to that. Let me respond to that. There are a lot of Black historians. There are a lot of Afrocentric historians that talk about all this and have done their own work. And they, certainly, there are a lot of people that support what I'm saying, man. I mean, most people during that time, most tribes during that time, people fought back, and people resisted, man. You got Santaway, you got different people that resisted. But what I am saying to you, brother, is the only predictor of how we would have behaved in general is looking at history. And in general, most people did not commit suicide to avoid slavery. And most people did not say, okay, come kill my family. Because or rape. You see your daughter raped enough, it's going to change you, bro. You will not be the same person.
Larry, once again, like I said, the history is told by the victor. They don't want you knowing that stuff, the people that rebelled. Secondly,
well, I'm talking
Larry J. Blige, Flyboy, would you die if a white cop hit you with his baton? No, I have enough money to get a hell of a lawyer to get one hell of a lawsuit. So no, I wouldn't die if a white. Oh my God! I'm taking every hit. Hit me in the face, whatever. I got a nice Jewish lawyer that's gonna get me a lot of money. But the whole thing is this, man. Like what you see in the history books is what they want you to see. What you see in the King James version of the Bible is what they want you to think. Now, I didn't have this mind state when I was in America. And I'm saying I didn't have this mind state as much when I was just living in the United States. You know why? Because I was raised in the same public schools that everybody in the United States was raised in. When I taught this stuff, I had to leave the country and get out and see how things operate there to understand, hey, there's actually a difference from what the historians say versus what I see the perception of this. Everything is about somebody's perception. And if you honestly can live your life and not believe that it was people, a large amount of people who fought to the death for what they believed in, or who jumped off that boat because they didn't believe that they didn't want to be slaves, then you're clearly mistaken. There was a large.
Well. Okay, let me comment on it. I think you're right. There are a large amount of people who resisted, and a lot of people who jumped off boats. I'm not saying that, and also I can name African historians. There are a lot of African historians, ancient African historians, who tell our side. So I don't know what you're talking about when you say that. From Adrian Hastings to John D. Graves to Yves Peterson to, there's a lot of African historians. If you read enough, you will find that the majority of people did not commit suicide. The majority of Africans did not say, I'll let you rape my kids, I'll let you come in and kill. That did not happen from an African historian perspective or a white person's perspective. And like I said, I think there's no way that I'm going to say, well, if I was raised in Benin and white people came through and I saw my people getting murdered, what I'm going to do? We don't know what we would do because we don't have that mindset. We don't know.
Oh, we
it's
know
impossible.
You know what we do because you know how you are now. You know how you are now. Me personally, I'm going to fight for what I believe and to the end. But you obviously, like getting on the boats. So, it's cool.
I didn't say that. I said we don't know what we don't know.
Your actions are saying that,
I'll say this. If I see my daughter getting tortured, oh, bruh, that'll change me. Yeah. If I see my mother getting beheaded, oh, bruh, my mind will change. And guess what? I still don't know how I would think. I know I'd be half crazy to see that. I believe that.
So let me get this right. You see your daughter getting raped, and they stop and they say, we're going to stop raping her if you come with us as a slave, and you're going to go as a slave. You're going to show your daughter that it's easy to just give up. No. I want my daughter.
Well,
your father's going to die. He believes in. I want you to do the same.
I think. Let me say this, man. If I get what you're saying is, could I live with myself if I was African and I saw the people coming into my continent? Could I live with myself saying, okay, now you know, is my family going to survive if I hunt slaves? In my mindset right now, I would be like, I couldn't do it. But I'm still talking about, and I don't think you deal with that. I'm still talking about it's impossible to determine that with the mindset that I would have had 300 years ago. That's just not possible. It's just not possible.
You don't think the more things change, no matter how many decades and years ago, the more they stay the same? The same.
No. It's not possible. It's not possible, Flyboy. I mean, because
thing. This is not something that was.
No. You're asking me. Let me answer. It is not possible for a person from 1950 to have the same, just in 50 years or 60 years or 70 years. It's not possible, bro. The way the mind is constructed through times and the things that we see, it is not possible. I mean, it's just like this. Let's say there were, to give you an idea how not possible it would be, if there's a movie, oh man, one of the best movies I've ever seen in my life. It's a movie called Sankofa. And what happens is, basically, these people get zapped from today's time. They get zapped into slavery. She was in the slave castle, and she just gets zapped back in. And that would really be interesting, you know, if me, you, Demain, and Richie got zapped back into slavery. Well, they just got to kill us. We're not gonna take nothing. Matter of fact, we ain't listening to nothing. Why? Because of the mind. Right? If you took 1 million or you took 30 million black people and you took them and put them into slavery, very few black people are going to accept it, stand it, and most black people, you know, be like, nah, you're just gonna have to kill me because I ain't about to be no slave. That would be the mindset of a 20th century person. Now, you take a 14th or 15th century person, more people would be enslaved. That's
hypothesizing that they were used to being slaves. If they're not used to being slaves, they would be the same way that we are. You gotta understand, black people wasn't born slaves. They wasn't always slaves. We weren't always slaves. So that mentality, they were transformed over time by generation and generation.
Look, bro, during no, you're not wrong. During the 14th, 15th, 16th centuries, slavery existed all over the planet. It certainly existed in Africa. So they did have the mindset to be enslaved. I agree with you. You have to have you have to make a slave, but pretty much one of the reasons why it was successful is because of the times, because of the weapons, because of, amazing people still be like, it wasn't a choice. Man, you got the world ganging up. You had the world ganging up on a whole continent, and people still talking about it was a choice. They didn't have no damn choice, man. People didn't have no choice.
Here's the last thing. Slavery in the past, no way that was a choice. Slavery today is a choice.
Well, 20th century slavery is totally different than what I'm trying to focus on.
You get what I'm saying? As far as slavery in the past wasn't a choice, slavery today is a choice. People choose to be a slave in their mind.
Well, I would say this to that, if you want to go there. If you get 100 kids in Chicago and you don't give them fathers and that kind of thing, I bet you 4 dead fat bitches, most of them are having an enslavement mindset because of that environment that you in. It is impossible for them to not be enslaved and put them in that situation. Let's say Chicago in the projects. As a matter of fact, I'll prove to you that it's not possible. There ain't one community of black people in this country, in the United States, one community where a lot of black people from those poverty-stricken single mother in the projects, and a lot of those people don't get caught up by being some form of enslavement. Or I'll change it up. Let me make it crystal clear so there's no room. If you could give me a projects in Chicago, and I ain't even in Chicago, but I can say it. Or you want to say Illinois, or you want to say Georgia, you want to say Atlanta, call it whatever you want. If you give me a 1,000 families, the typical chick living in the projects, a lot of them kids are going to have a lot of issues as a result of those circumstances. A lot of those kids are not going to escape a lot of those circumstances.
Here's the issue, right? But here's the issue I have with that now.
But is it true?
With the technology we have nowadays, I'm talking about 18 and up. It's a choice because you have the choice. Well, do I want to go with what I know doesn't work, or do I want to go with what I've seen that may work? You have that choice at around 16. I'm not going to say 18. Around 16, you can make that choice and say, "Hey, I know this is going to lead me down this path. I'm accustomed to this way. I have never been taught another path." But there's a choice because now I have knowledge on YouTube. I have knowledge on radio. I have knowledge that I didn't have back then, where I can make a choice to say, I'm going to keep going down that path.
This
I'm going to try something new.
I get it. This argument of nature and neuter has been going on for hundreds of years. But me and you both know, let me get hold of your daughter, put her in a crack house, put her in the, certainly they have choices, man. But let me tell you. Let me get 7 of your kids. You may not have 7, but let me get 7 of them.
Not yet.
And put them in a crack house and just treat them bad. And, just the whole crack mentality, just be crazy and stuff. Yeah. And then try to tell me they made them choices.
I think that's an exception, though. I think that's an exception, not the rule. I don't think that's a majority. I'm just saying as a majority, I think that's an exception. Everybody from the hood ain't that situation.
No, but what I'm saying is look at the example, and that's what I tried to do with you by giving you an example of look at the projects, or if I said give me 7 of your daughters and put them in a crack house, it's hard for you to try to tell me that it's danger. The chances of them girls with a crackhead mama and a crazy daddy or whatever, especially if they're getting abused, to come out of that unscathed. That environment is going to limit their choices.
100%.
Now, and the thing about it is, whoever gets out of that environment is going to be the exception because it limited their choice, and that's true with any projects in America.
Right, but the thing I'm saying is that as a black people in this generation, that environment isn't as frequent as it once was. Growing up in the '90s, that environment was a lot, but now that environment isn't as big, man. It's really not. And I'm in the urban area.
Going back to Chicago. Why I'll give that they should we're responsible for our actions and everything. But there's a reasons why Chicago is the way it is, bro.
Well, Flyboy W knows Flyboy is assuming there's enough opportunity for everyone. No. I know for a fact there's not enough opportunity for everyone, but I do know there's enough opportunity to choose whether or not you're going to be like everybody else or you're going to succeed. Like, I can't imagine if we had YouTube at this level when I was a teenager right now. I would have been, I feel as though I could have achieved so much further. And now maybe I'm wrong, maybe my not guidance, but the opportunity is more now than it was in the past. And that's just my point of saying that.
But you got to respond to what I'm saying. Like I don't think you responded to it. Like when I'm saying in Chicago, people are like, man, that's the choice they choose. Or like I said, if you really want to get serious, if I took 7 of your kids and put them in a crack house and be like, man, it's their choice, man, it's their choice. I mean, how do you respond to that?
The response to the because
the crackhead mama with 7 kids.
Because
how you respond to it was their choice.
A small sample size and not the size of the population. And
that's okay, but respond to it.
Well, to the small sample size, I would say the ones that make it out, they make it out. If they can help the other ones, it's a good thing. But the ones that make it out need to focus on making it out because those hard times are going to make you a better person in the future.
No, I'm talking about choice. That's the word we're using. Was it their choice?
Was it choice?
Or do you think, like, if a lot of people think, man, anybody, it's their choice. It's their choice. And I'm just saying, and I did a bigger sample. Hold on, let me put the question out there. I did a bit of I tried to get you to look at the Chicago situation or any project in America, and you can see that it isn't all choice, and because a lot of people that make out. So for you to understand it, that's why I took it to a crackhead mama with 7 kids and a crazy daddy that like abusing them and stuff. And the chances are I'm saying that then it doesn't, you can see where they don't really have that much choice. And then on a bigger scale, I can see, I think I kind of understand why some of them dudes is crazy as hell in Chicago, and because I can see that whole dynamic. You can't just sit back and be like, well, it's their choice in my mind.
Bro, let me tell you why it's a choice. Let me tell you why it's still a choice. I grew up in North New Jersey in the 90s.
You the exception.
Follow me. 70% of my friends are in gangs. I chose not to be in a gang.
You the exception.
But see, that's what I'm saying. You can't say they don't have choices. Everybody has a choice. You say I'm an exception.
They do, but what I'm saying to you is
I'm not an exception. I'm the person who chose different. And that's
most of us who have made it. But like, this is what I'm trying to get you to understand. Like, you could take any group of people and say, if I put them in this situation, 80% of them gonna fail. If I put them in this situation, 90% of them gonna fail. You can actually come up with situations where most people will fail. That's what I'm saying. And so what I'm saying is when you look at the projects in Chicago, they're in a situation where most of them are gonna fail.
You're saying most of them are gonna fail, but your standard of failing might not be their standard of failing. And that's why you're not understanding. Most of them know they're not gonna be rich millionaires, but some of them making it out of the hood that they're from is success. So that's still not failing. And that's what I think you're not getting across. Your point of success for these people who, if I go from a level 1 to level 5, I can consider that a success. But somebody else might go from a level 1 to level 10. That's success too. But these kids might not be reaching the level you want them to reach, but they still succeeding. So when you say 80% don't succeed, that's incorrect status.
No, I said you could put people in a situation where 8 out of 10 of your kids are going to fail. You can do that. You can actually do that, bro.
They're not going to fail. They're not going to reach the level that you do.
Okay, well, let me not use the word fail. Let me use something more specific that maybe we can agree with. If you get, that situation with the crackhead mama and the crazy daddy, and that kind of situation, most of those kids are going to be in and out of the jail.
But if those kids don't end up a crackhead, then they succeeded. If those kids don't end up a crazy. Well,
I think I told you I was going to leave the word success alone because we couldn't agree on that. So I just said most of those people in that situation are going to have drug and jail problems and things of that nature. That's all I'm saying.
That they don't have choice, and they do. It's the only part I'm really disagreeing with.
I think. Go ahead.
I'm not disagreeing that they won't make it as far as a lot of other people could. I agree with you 120% on that. But the fact that they don't have a choice is what I'm disagreeing with. Everyone has a choice. And it's the belief that you don't have a choice that leads you to fail. No matter what your predicament is, everyone has a choice. It doesn't matter if most of them don't end up where they want to be. Everyone has a choice, and that's why it's hard for me to believe that the kids in Detroit or the kids in New Jersey or the kids in Philadelphia or the kids in Chicago just fail because they give up. No. Everybody has a choice to say, regardless if you don't have no mother, no father, nobody to teach you, there's something across your life that gave you a choice and you made that decision.
Yeah, I agree with you. People have choices, but where I don't agree with you is that certain groups of people or certain situations is gonna make it harder for people. I think that's what I'm saying. I think it makes it harder for people. Like if you would have been in a different environment, it would have just made it much harder. I mean, who knows where I would have been if I would have been one of them 10 kids.
But
you know what I'm saying?
Who's your friend Gator? Like Gator said the other week. Remember when I came out and I said, "Yo, who knows what I would have been if I'd had a mother and father like everybody else?" And you see how Gator put me down and said, "No. That made you who you are. That made you able to push that far." Same thing with them kids, and that the same thing with the kids with the crackhead mother. The same thing with the kids in Chicago. That's what's going to make them who they are. So I can't really argue to say that. That's you know what I mean?
Yeah. You know, because you know, and I think you get these people. They be like, man, nobody has. It's just tougher on some situations than it is on others. Like basically what you're saying. If you didn't have a mother and a father, it'd have been tougher. But I just going back to the whole institution of you don't believe that white people stole people out of Africa.
Yeah, bro. I know people. I don't have to know. I think everything. My perception is that from traveling, everything happens the same way over and over again. And I know how people. Subconsciously, I know how people think. And if somebody offers you guns and offers you the necessities you need to take over other colonies in your city to make you the boss in your country, and all you got to do is give me some people as slaves or conquer that other group, and then people that you conquer, send them over to us. I see everybody doing it, man. Like, let's say I give you 100 guns, right? You take them 100 guns, and you take Domain's 1,000 people, and they say because we gave you the 100 guns, you got to give us 500 of Domain's people as slaves. I see that more likely happening just coming over on a small boat when we outnumber them and out-knowledge them of quantum.
Yeah, see, that's what I'm saying. You don't understand history. These people did not have a choice. You had to collaborate, or then you would have been decimated. You're talking about a situation where there was a way out. Many of these African nations did not have a way out, bro. You got to really look into some of them history books when them black people started talking about when they started to see white men, how fearful they were, what the things they had to do to survive, man. Black people were doing everything to survive. They were forced. Most black people were forced into European slavery. Yeah, they were enslaving each other, but most black people were either tricked or forced into European slavery.
And we got to bring it back to what we said today. It's always the way, man. And
it wasn't a way. It wasn't a way.
Always a way.
It wasn't a way. It wasn't a way.
Listen,
there's
always a way.
No, let me say this, man. When they developed gunpowder, and well, actually, some people think that the Chinese or the Koreans developed gunpowder. After they developed gunpowder, bro, they started conquering the world. You got to understand that, bro. They was all up in Asian countries, conquering Asian countries, man. Them people had no choice. There are different countries that led the world in technology at different times. At that time, white people were lucky because they led the world in reference to guns. Once the white people got hold of guns, bro, it was a wrap. These African nations didn't have a chance in hell. They had no chance. And that's what you're missing. These people had to somehow coalesce with these white folks in order to survive. Some nations did from slavery, no, but some people ended up, surviving as a result. I mean, I can't understand how it's difficult to understand if somebody says, "Hey, man, I'm gonna kill your people." And once you start seeing some of your people getting killed, and you've heard about it, about it, I can easily see how some African nations say, "Okay, we're going along with your plan, man. It's like somebody having a gun to your head. Like, we're going along with your plan, man. Maybe it didn't help them, but at the time they were like, this is the only way out." It's amazing when people say they had a choice. Black people didn't have a choice, but to either die. That ain't no choice.
Fly boy, you never been robbed before and gave it up?
Nah.
You never been robbed?
You ain't gonna give it up, huh? So if let me say this, Fly boy. Let me ask you this.
I will give it up because I got enough to not have to worry about if I gotta give it up.
Wouldn't you do anything? Wouldn't you do anything to stop the rape and torture of your daughter?
No. I would fight to the death to stop the rape. I'm not gonna do anything.
No, that ain't what I asked you, Fly boy. I asked you I asked you, would you do anything if they had you tied up?
I'm not going to
back then.
I'm not going to.
No, listen. Let me ask it first. Let me ask it, because you can say I don't want to answer your scenario. I'll submit. But if you say I don't want to answer it, okay. I'm just saying, if I was tied up, or if I saw my mama getting tortured, man, I couldn't imagine just saying, I couldn't imagine, right? And you knew they were gonna kill her. You knew it. You know it. No way out. It's no way out, bro. No way out. So you're saying you wouldn't like kind of coalesce?
No.
You would actually.
I'm not submitting to the people that tortured my mother because they want to stop. No. You've already passed that point. No, see, you torture my mother, you rape my daughter. I'm not submitting to you. It's death or nothing.
I see. Okay, I respect that.
So you saying, Fly Boy, if they say, hey, look, we got 2 of your daughters, we got your grandma and your mom right here.
Yes.
Either you're going to be a slave or we're going to kill them. What's going to be your decision?
Hey, D-Man, you ready to ride out? That's my decision. You ready to ride out? Let's go. What's that? What they say? What kind of forever, right? Yeah.
So what you gonna fight them with? You're a slave.
I'm fighting.
You're a slave on the farm. What you gonna fight white men with guns? No. With your hands?
Hands? I'm gonna find the tool. Something. Listen.
That ain't the situation. That ain't the situation I gave him, though.
I fight for what I believe in, not to win. I fight for what I believe.
I respect that. And then somebody mentioned that nobody has mentioned that Africans resisted. Yeah, man, we talked about that. We already talked about that. Many Africans resisted, man, to the death. Many Africans resisted. We already talked about it. Somebody say, and then but we, and then somebody mentions how did the Haitians do it? The Haitians did it for they had a lot of things in their favor. Napoleon's army was beaten down. They had I can go through that. I give you history lesson on how the Haitians were successful, if anybody wants to know. But it was a whole different situation in Africa, though. So I get you, man. You know, in your 20th century mindset, or you say even you feel like even back then your family just would be tortured. You just sit there and watch them be tortured, and then eventually you die. I respect that. I ain't got no problem with that. At least you're being honest. But it would probably be difficult for me to see my daughter getting tortured or my mother getting tortured. Probably be difficult for most men, But I respect how you see it. Y'all want to talk about the Haitian Revolution?
Another time.
We can do that for another show, man. Let's try to wrap the show up. Brother Jermaine, I know you got to go, so I'm going to let you start with your last words, brother.
All right, once again, it's been a pleasure to be on the show. Appreciate it. What don't kill me, make me stronger. You got to have a thick skin to be around these group of dudes. As far as does the Stockholm Syndrome exist in the Black community in the United States? Yes, it does, but it doesn't have to exist. It can be expunged. I'm out.
But how can it be expunged? No.
That's a topic for another show.
That's another conversation.
I know. But go ahead, Fly Boy, man. Go ahead with your last word, brother. Let's try to stick to the topic, though.
Don't let racism.
I said stick with the topic.
That is the topic, right? Stockholm is part of it. Okay.
Go ahead. You know how you want to do it. Go ahead, brother.
Don't let racism be the reason why you blame yourself for not succeeding. Don't let what other people think determine. Importantly, do not ever give up and stop fighting for what you believe just because the odds are against you. It's your boy FRE$H Fresh at the Flyboy Way. That's THEFLYBOYWAY. Don't ask why. Just check out the channel. And yes, I do give the civil rights fight movement a lot of credit because I'm black. I'm not African American. I'm Black American. Peace.
Yeah, does the Stockholm Syndrome exist? Yeah. Flyboy is a perfect example of that. He defend them white folks more than white folks defend themselves. That whole conversation of our house You know, he ain't say nothing about what the white folks do and how he just constantly on black folks, you know. But in anyway, yeah, I believe it exists, man. And maybe I can talk to him a little bit more, but man, he you know, about it. I think it exists in our community, man, you know, and I'm just amazed that people don't even understand the slightest bit of history. But all right, man, y'all have a good one.
It's been real, man. And I just want to say, yeah, it does exist in the black community. I think they doing it a little different now, man. They putting chains on our brains, man. You know, they controlling the money with the banks and everything else, et cetera, et cetera. But I appreciate everybody joining in. Anybody stayed in all 3 hours? I doubt it, but if you did, man, salute to you, man. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate all the super chats. And man, it was a great show, man. That's all I can say, man. It was a great show. But in America, actually, you really don't own property because you're always paying taxes. And one thing about buying property abroad, a lot of these countries, you outright own the property. So that's something to think about also. So anyhow, peace out, Richard Rich. We 3 hours deep in this joint, man. Hit the like button, man. Hit the like button, man. Thanks, man. Any show ideas? If y'all got any ideas for any show, if anybody want to jump on the panel with me, just email me, rollthetape@yahoo.com. Leave a comment in one of the videos. If you want to jump on the show, you got an idea, whatever. I'm looking to do some more positive shows about making money. So if you got any money ideas, not no hustles, no scams, we're talking about careers or opportunities, flipping houses or whatever the case is. If anybody got any good ideas on money making shows, holla at me. Appreciate y'all, man. Thanks.